So, good morning. On behalf of ICRIER, I, Trishali, welcome all of you and esteemed guests, speakers, and participants to the release of the report, Making India a Global Hub for Turmeric. We are delighted to host this event a day after the Government of India announced the formation of the National Turmeric Board, and this is a joint event by ICRIER and AMBE. Now, I would like to welcome the dignitaries to the dais. Dr. Deepak Mishra, Director of ICRIER, Mr. Rajnish Chopra, Managing Director of Amway, and Shri Ramesh, member of NITI Aayog, Government of India. I would request all of you to please join us on the stage. And Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, Professor at ICRIER. We now request Dr. Deepak Mishra to kindly give the welcome address and take off the inaugural session. Over to you, sir. I'll be taking.
Okay, hello everyone. A very good morning to all our esteemed guests, colleagues, and participants joining us here today. On behalf of ICRIER, it is my pleasure to welcome you all to release of the report, Making India the Global Hub for Turmeric. I'm honored to welcome a distinguished panel of guests and experts whose contribution will greatly enrich today's discussion. I'm going to anyway introduce them here, though some of them will be joining us later in the day. Let me begin by saying it gives us immense pleasure to welcome Shri Ramesh, member of NITI Aayog, Government of India. And then we'll be having Shri Praveen Khandelwal, MP, Lok Sabha, and member of Standing Committee on Commerce, as well as Shri G. Kamala Vardhana, IS CEO for FSSAI, Government of India. Thank you for taking time to join us today and share your insights. As you just heard, Union Minister for Commerce and Industry, Shri Piyush Goyal, launched the National Turmeric Board yesterday with the objective of improving production and exports of turmeric. So in a sense, our report is getting a bit of a tailwind even before it was launched because there's a lot of discussion on this topic. The Ministry of Commerce and Industry projects that India turmeric exports will reach 1 billion by 2030 from 213 million today. So that's a fourfold increase over a 7-year period. That's a pretty ambitious target. In this context, our report makes targeted recommendation on how India can strengthen its position as a global turmeric producer and exporter and make more value addition at home. While India is the largest turmeric exporter, largest exporter, we are unable to produce turmeric with the right curcumin content. And those of you who don't know what curcumin is, I didn't know it for 48 hours before the event. And so Arpita and our team will tell you more about it during the discussion. The fact that our curcumin contents are much smaller and the world needs it to be more than 5% makes India limited export to only cater to 10% of the global turmeric demand. There's also a rise in product contamination, leading to exporters facing issues concerning source of raw materials. This also highlights a need for product traceability. In this context, the report looks at pathways which can help India secure its position in a global turmeric value chain. The report is based on secondary data and information analysis, as well as primary survey of value chain partners. The primary survey consists of a total of 500 participants representing a diverse range of stakeholders. And this is something I want to emphasize more because sometimes people tend to think that think tanks in Delhi would write a report sitting in the ivory towers of it. That's not true, at least for ICRIER. Most of our reports are actually based on in fact, about 35% of reports are based on primary surveys, followed up with field visits to the location. In this case, the ICRIER research team also traveled to 6 turmeric producing states, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra, Meghalaya, Odisha, Tamil Nadu, and Telangana, to talk to people who are involved in the value chain. For the report, we are extremely grateful to key policymakers in central and state government agencies, including FSSAI, APEDA, Spice Board of India, and state horticulture departments for facilitating the interaction with FPOs, farmer bodies, and other stakeholders. An earlier version of this report was discussed in a consultation meeting held in ICRIER, and the comments and suggestions received from them has been addressed in this report. We thank Amway India Enterprises for their continued partnership with ICRIER. This is a third report from this partnership. We hope this report will also receive similar traction as the first two. And thanks to all of you, the audience, for braving the morning fog and the cold Delhi winter to join us at this report lunch. I'm sure Arpita and the team will ensure that the time you would have been investing with us today would be worth it. So thanks for your kind attention and all the best for today's event. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deepak sir, for helping us kickstart the inaugural session. I would now like to request Shri Ramesh, member of NITI Aayog, to give the special address.
Thank you. Good morning to all. In fact, I was expecting that Arpita will present some issues related to turmeric, and that will provide me material to comment on or speak on, but it's okay. She shared a summary of the report with me, and also because my background is in agriculture and agriculture economy. So I'm not totally unaware of importance of turmeric and how to promote activity like turmeric. Before I go to the theme of today's event, I just want to say that it is always a learning experience to participate in activities like this organized by ICRIER for 2-3 reasons. One is that whatever work they do, it is of topical nature. It has a lot of traction, and also it is futuristic. The way they are looking at turmeric, how to make India global hub. So you find that it is also futuristic. Now, coming to turmeric, I feel that this report will serve two purposes. One is that what we need to do specifically in case of turmeric. But second is that product like turmeric in India runs into, if not 100 dozens. Individually, they look very small, but if you combine them, then you will find that they will rank quite high. Then you will find that their economic value, their export earning are more than some of the major commodities produced in the country. So findings of this report, I feel that whatever conclusion or policy implication will follow from this report, they will not only apply to turmeric, they would also be useful and applicable for promoting many other kind of products. In fact, turmeric has become famous globally. As you know that at many airports, you will find that people taking turmeric latte and all those kind of things. But I would say that there are large number of other commodities with hidden potentials. And many of us, those who are brought up in traditional Indian families, they are familiar with those kind of things. Like if I have to share my experience, as long as I was in my village till I did my matric in 1972, we were never given milk in which you didn't use people. We in Punjab call them maga. So without people, that people, you boil milk, putting the people, and if you drink that milk, you never need to take safi or other kind of thing. It is such a great blood purifier. So like that, you will find that there are commodities in India with unique products and which were part of our traditional diet, which were part of our ethnic food systems, consumed in naturally that they were part of it. But it is the world which is discovering value of these things, and you just find that the demand for these kind of things is coming from several new sources. Of course, outside the country and also within India, that for some time we had forgotten those commodities, but now their value is being realized and their production is being revived. Like turmeric, we hear so much about aloe vera. Again, to take example from my background, that if you go there in winter, there will be hardly any farming family which will not make kwar patha. That means you boil aloe vera in milk and add so many other kind of herbs, which our village Baid, Pandit Deruram Joshi ji used to tell us before him, his father. So they are continuing that if you eat those kind of things, then in winter you will not have joint pain, those kind of things. In fact, during winter, that used to be my breakfast till because of excessive consumption of fats, I got this problem of excessive fat accumulation, and I had to go for a procedure. That used to be because I used to eat in excess. The importance of balance is very high. So like that, from every region, you can pick up those kind of products. And I feel that India need to take advantage of those kind of things, that there is not only curiosity, there is a genuine interest in value of our foods, value of our foods or value of our diets, not only in the sense of traditional foods. So what distinguishes, say, products like turmeric, product like people, product like salt, cinnamon, and many others from general food is that in last 15, 20 years, this consumer sentiment has been shifting towards, if I can give right term, or maybe we will coin some term to classify it, that the product with special attributes. So, in fact, I have published paper also that in future, a lot of demand in agriculture will come from products with special attributes, and consumer of today is willing to shell out any price for those special attributes, and that is one way of increasing income of farm sector or producers of those. So traditionally, one reason why people consume food is that for the purpose of nutrition, energy, calorie, protein, vitamin, mineral, in that sense. So, and also for sake of satiety, to have fiber, bowel movement, some physiological and biological functions. But over time, the modern consumer has started valuing other things which are part of India's culture. That, okay, if I consume this particular product, I will have some therapeutic advantages out of it. I will develop immunity. My skin will glow. My hair will not fall. So, like that, the list is long, that people are now recognizing that whatever way our entire body, our mental system functions, it depends upon what we are consuming. Beside the bulk food, that bulk food need a particular kind of human requirement, but then there are other kind of food which need to be taken. If they are taken in minor quantity, then probably we need to go to doctors much less, and we will be more healthy, more vitality, more energetic, all those kind of things. So I feel that this non-food attributes of food commodities, as they are getting added, you are getting new kind of demand. So you are then expanding the scope of demand for this kind of commodities, both within India and also abroad. Regarding making India as a global hub, from the number which Arpita and her team reported in this report, I just feel that India is already a global hub in the sense, because 75% of the bird production of turmeric happens in India. 75%, which is quite substantial. You can say, yes, we are global if 75% we are producing, and rest of the 25% is not produced by one or two countries. It is just scattered, that others are not having share more than 5% or 6%. Even in the export, I think share is 62 or 63%. But what is important is that many commodities of this type, temporarily they get attention, but then you find that after some time there is no demand for that. How we can avoid that kind of situations? So that is very important, that how we can sustain the preference for turmeric globally, and as over time the demand get expanded, how we can maintain that share. And in case of exports, even increasing that shares. So if we have to ensure that, then two, three things come to my mind, Arpita ji. Maybe you have taken that in the full report. If not, they may be worth your consideration, because country is going to put more and more emphasis on turmeric and commodities like this. One is this danger of overproduction. The commodity like turmeric, they have a kinked demand, that there is a section of consumers, they will buy at that price. But if you want some more consumer to get added to it, they will not buy turmeric at, say, 100 rupee a kg. They would require turmeric to be at then 50 rupee a kg. So that is where the kink happen, and which then change the profitability, since these kind of commodities are produced, consumed in limited quantity. So some arrangement or some mechanism to see to it that that farmer started producing more turmeric, expecting that their profit will increase, but you find that suddenly there is so much of overproduction, that price crash, that they are not able to have profit which they were having 3 years back. So how this can be addressed? There are ways and means to address it, but that is what we need to keep in mind. Otherwise, we have seen in the past that some commodities with special attributes, they were adopted by farmers. Then other neighbor, fellow farmer also thought he is becoming rich by producing turmeric. Why not I also produce it? So as a result, you just find that those commodity, they devastated the producer, and it led to even lower production than what was before the effort toward their expansion began. There are many examples that is one thing which need to be kept in mind, that they are not the item of bulk consumption. So therefore, some mechanism that we don't expand them beyond certain level, that it can lead to a price crash. Then second is that in order to take advantage of this kind of things, like if a farmer find that basmati is giving 2 to 3 times the price of ordinary rice, so people will try to put level of basmati even on pseudo basmati or non basmati and try to sell it as a basmati, even if it does not have the full quality parameter of basmati. This kind of thing has earlier already happened in case of turmeric. Because many commodities these days we have R&D, that why doing little R&D, you can grow them. At least physically, you can have their yields, but in terms of quality trait, they get diluted. So in case of agri commodity, like if you talk about curcumin, the haldi which comes from, say, Meghalaya, curcumin content is highest, more than 6%. But you can grow turmeric in Delhi, which will give you much higher yield than what you get in Meghalaya and other places. But curcumin content will not be even 1%. So maintaining quality is very, very important, that the consumer who is buying these things is buying for a particular attribute. And that attribute in turmeric is curcumin. But if the fellow buys, presuming that there will be 6% curcumin, but actually what he is buying is not even 1% curcumin, so after some time, realization will happen that this product itself is not good. Whereas it is not that the product is bad, it is that we have started producing product at places where it does not give the kind of qualities because of which the demand for this commodity comes. I think that requires strong traceability system, that require value chains, so that the consumer knows that the turmeric which she is buying is produced in a particular area, and those agroclimatic characteristics give this kind of quality in this produce. That is the second thing which is very, very important. Otherwise, a few years back, Punjab turned out to be highest producer of haldi, even beating Tamil Nadu. The prices of turmeric crashed like anything. And by the way, my wife also grows turmeric in Delhi itself. Though I keep telling her that you are doing damage to me, because I need to eat 6 times the turmeric compared to what I'm eating if I buy it from Meghalaya showroom, the Jayanti area, if I consume that kind of thing. But still, that tendency with the people that this quality is not visible. So you can go for that. So that is the second very important dimension. Third is that this kind of commodity give very high, fetches very high price, particularly in niche markets. Whether that benefit goes back to the farmers, that is very, very important, that we need to work out some arrangement, like we have Amul model, that farmer will have some share in the profit, or they will have some percent in the consumer rupee. So turmeric should not turn out to be that only the manufacturer and the final seller is able to exploit the demand attraction of turmeric, but when it comes to farmer, not even 5-10% of that advantage flows to them. So that is also, I think, very important. It need to be kept in mind. The other factor is, maybe again, you might have touched it in your report, that that the value or attraction of this kind of commodity get further increased if you add another layer, and that layer is coming again from shifting consumer preference, that the turmeric which you are selling is organic. It is not using harmful agrochemicals. So these days, again, in the world, on New Year Day, I was with my son in SFO, and I found that he's buying organic milk. Whatever he's buying in organic, I was even surprised that certain things are impossible to produce as organic, but they were selling as organic, trying to take advantage of consumer sentiment that if you put organic, you are going to get very good price. But it particularly applies in case of commodities like turmeric, that organic versus others. So if it is again properly branded, it is ensured that it is organic, then you will find that the value realization or scope to become much bigger power in export, raising it from 61-62% to much higher level, will further improve. So my wish for turmeric is that we become global hub in a market which keep expanding. It should not happen that in future the global market for export shrinks and our share increase. I think we should not be heading for that kind of situation. We should be trying to see that the total demand get expanded domestically and overseas, and the share of India in total production and export further increase. That should be the roadmap. And recent announcement made by this Commerce Ministry that we will have turmeric board. So we should take advantage of that kind of institutional mechanism from the beginning itself, that we have created board, but board people should know what they should be doing, not only in production, but also in terms of marketing for different segment of consumer, market in India, market overseas, all those kind of things. So I hope your report will provide good input to promote turmeric in India, and not only for India, as our Prime Minister often says, that we look at global situation, Vasudevam Kutumbakam. We alone do not want to benefit from turmeric. We want entire world to benefit from turmeric and products like this. So thank you for making me part of this event.
Thank you so much, sir, for highlighting the product of special attributes, having so much importance, and also sharing your personal experiences. Moving on to the release of the report titled Making India the Global Hub for Turmeric, I would like to request all the authors of the report, Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, Dr. Souvik Dutta, Ms. Eshana Mukherjee, Ms. Ketaki, and Nandini Sen. And I would also like to request Ahana Shri and Anushka Pal, who have supported us in this study, on the dais. Nandini and Anushka will be joining us online. I would request all the participants who have joined online to please turn off their cameras. Turn on their cameras. A copy of the report is available for all the participants. Those who are online, please send us an email with your full contact details, and we'll share the required procurement process. I would now like to request Dr. Arpita Mukherjee to present the key findings of the report. Over to you, ma'am.
Very good morning to all of you. And while the while the presentation is being set up, may I particularly thank Dr. Chand for, he has always put in questions which lead to another study. So research is never ending under his guidance, sir. I will request you to read through the report and give detailed comments like you did for the organic one as well, which was very useful. I would like to thank Dr. Mishra particularly for, his support towards research. He has been, a very hands-off, do-it-yourself kind of a boss all the time, and that has really helped us to evolve with very strategic comments on how to do things better, like go to the field and do the work. Thanks a ton to Rajneesh, your teams in Amway. They have been particularly wonderful. They give very constructive comments. They do not touch the research independence, and that helps us to grow. We work with many industry, but our experience have been extremely beautiful with Amway giving us the free play. Now, coming to this particular report, I cannot go ahead without thanking all my co-authors, without whose contribution it cannot be possible, and to Rajat, particularly in Amway, for always asking difficult questions, which makes things much easier. I'm also grateful to a number of companies here, a number of food processing companies. You remember this report was done at a time when Indian spices were facing a very tough time in many markets, including Singapore. It is very difficult for those companies to come back and actually allow you to look at their supply chain and talk about the issues that they face. And that and also offering very constructive solution. As I go down into this report, the point is that, see, basically what we understood from the historic days was that turmeric started growing in South Asia. From here, it went through trade or howsoever to Africa. So we had these two hubs. Then China came up producing turmeric. Now Fiji is producing turmeric. But when you look at the data of the production and the cultural usage of turmeric, you will be seeing the South Asia hub, Chinese medicine. Then you see Africa, and some but of it in South America. And suddenly you see the entire process as you move up the value chain shift. Netherlands is like your second largest exporter. So what is happening to these countries, and how does this value chain shift? The value chain shift from food ingredient. In a food ingredient, that's much you can do. And I think the Ayurvedic committee and all of FSSAI and the Ayurvedic college in Delhi talked about 20-gram turmeric a day, right, Simaji, if you may remember. But it is like 20 gram, and it's not like you are consuming it as much as rice. Then you move up the value chain into, cosmetics, into other areas, which is like medicinal and nutraceutical. And medicinal and nutraceutical is an area which is differently regulated in different countries, if I may come to the point there. Because when you come to food authorities in most countries control the entire food supply chain from the farm to the end product, export or import of ingredient. In the case of India, FSSAI has control beyond the farmers till the imports. It doesn't have exports and the farmers. So our food authority domain is a little different from other countries. When you're talking about regulations and regulatory cooperation, we have many export agencies looking after spices, from EIC to BIS setting some standards, to Spices Board looking after spices, to Arpita. In terms of the regulatory structure, the Spices Board was supposed to look from anything outside the field, and Arpita inside the field. Then organic came, and Arpita looked up for the entire organic supply chain traceability. The Spices Board was not actually the Spices Board. It was the Cardamom Board that was converted into the Spices Board. So today when the National Turmeric Board is coming up, are we going back to the history? Is the question that I want you to think through. The second thing that you need to think through is that is a board only the solution to the problem today? Today, let's look at what is the problem. We are the leaders in Ayurveda in the world, but we are not alone. Sri Lanka years ago have also come out with a spice vision roadmap. Bangladesh is looking at the European Union sustainability regulations. Now, if with the last year's European Union coming up with the sustainability regulation, it is not only, we are only looking at one component of the regulation, which is carbon tax. We are not looking at agricultural workers, their conditions, their use of the water, use of the insecticides, pesticides. So they are basically replicating the Green Deal, which they are talking about, into the regulatory fragment. And what have they said? They said that if a foreign company with a certain, or if any European company, anybody in Europe with a certain amount of business is sourcing a product from one country, and that product is not meeting this restriction, there will be a penalty on the company sourcing. Now, it is a big problem for the European companies, because you see, they are the hub of the business for turmeric. So So the reason we selected turmeric is an example of the spice. You have to go through the value chain. It has a medical benefit as well as the non-medical benefit and multi-layered usage, but also from an angle that this is a spice which is actually having a hub for exports in the EU, where the European Union regulation may be applicable to India. In this situation, while we want to make India a 1 billion hub by 2030, and our study was looking into this entire value chain. We are trying to understand this, which can be replicated for any other value chain studies. We had spoken to over 500 participants across many states. And I would tell you that there are many success examples. If you go to Odisha, the state government is working with the Netherlands government and many FPOs within the state and training them for export. So one is the core part is training, capacity building, like sir said, technology, only giving technology, use of technology, implementing technology, product quality upgradation, everything comes when you look at the value chain. So our report, just to give you a background, has 8 chapters and 3 of them are survey chapters. And first we talk about it more generic about the introduction, then the what is happening across the world. And that is very important, how the world regulation and our regulations may differ. We are codex compliant in terms of our food safety regulation. So in terms of the regulations, we are not below codex. However, the developed countries are looking at a curcumin level which is higher in certain types of food products, like 5% and higher, because otherwise you cannot call it health benefit or nutraceutical. So that is where probably the FSSAI nutraceutical regulation has to be aligned. As of now, we do not have an Ayurvedic regulation. But FSSAI has set up a committee to look into it. The problem is when we do not have a regulation and when we do not have a regulatory body, somebody from our side has to sit with somebody from the other side to sign a mutual recognition agreement. So today we do not have a nodal person to sit from our side. So we are not able to sign any agreement. That is the core point. It's a very simple problem, but it becomes a huge repercussion. Now, when you look at the global industry, it is a big industry. It is growing in terms of volumes. It is the major issue is about this post-COVID use of spices, be it turmeric, be it cardamom, be it cinnamon, and all of that. And each of them are being marketed in their own way. We are one of the largest producers, but what is happening is that if you look at, sir, because you mentioned Punjab and Haryana, this traditional states which were producing are losing their market share. If you go through our report, in fact, they are not among the top 10 and new states are coming up. So within India, there is a change in pattern. Within the globe, I would also talk about a change in pattern based on the end use. Now, what is happening and what is the worry? Now, when you are producing a product and when you are trying to get a big market price for that product, you look at various things which leads to a product pricing. One is the demand of the product, as sir has mentioned, then whether the product is a GI product, then whether the product is organic or not, whether the product has a high curcumin content in terms of turmeric. Multiple factors determine your price. Now, previously, India had very limited GI product in food. India is working very hard to get GI products because the GI products give you a certainty that this is for me. The second thing is also R&D and patenting. Like our food patenting has been much behind, and you may have remembered the story about America taking the patenting of the turmeric. So this turmeric research and patenting has always been a problem. What is happening to the traditional fields? If you go down to Tamil Nadu, if you go down to Erode, you will feel that this is a GI product. It was such a hub that a spice board export person sits in Erode and the spice board domestic person sits in Chennai, although both of them cannot do anything now because now that the export is through Chennai. So they need to change their seats. But the main point is that Erode being GI is facing a huge yield problem. Similarly, why are we talking about Nizamuddin and the turmeric board there? Because Nizamuddin is not able to get a GI tag also, and it is facing a massive issue. Telangana farmer are facing a massive issue, and therefore, having the turmeric board was a significant component of the Telangana elections. Now, if you go by the states, as I told you that the top 5 states are changing. Now there are different varieties of turmeric coming up. Now you may have heard about blue turmeric with high curcumin content. Now there are also, you have to go do research on this product, identify the product, say that the curcumin content is correct, and then map the product. Now this entire curcumin thing is also very dicey, because the moment you boil it or you kind of make it a oil, you lose a bit of your curcumin content. So if you have to have a 5% curcumin for, say, a nutraceutical or a Ayurvedic product, you sometimes have to go to 6 to 7%, because you lose out a bit of a curcumin in the entire processing segment. So there is, while the company may say, okay, this is a 5% above curcumin, they are always not certain what is the above part, because there is a processing loss. And as you know, processing is also a value chain. So you have an intermediate supplier, and then there are tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 partners. Now, India has been very fast moving from 2 or 3 kind of curcumin GI. We have been very fast moving, and Maharashtra and Meghalaya, they have all come out with their own GI tags. And if you now look at the global data with this background, you would see that we are a very large exporter, but our exports are going in for the food and kind of end use, like dye as well as cosmetics and stuff like that. It is only recently there is a big demand for this nutraceutical and Ayurveda, and lot of it because of India's promoting it. And because of this, Ayurveda is coming out. Now this is the demand that new countries are trying to meet. Like when Fiji is coming, it is not trying to produce all type of curcumin. They are trying to concentrate on this new global demand of high curcumin content. It is not about organic. Let me put the concept here. For food, people are asking for organic. For nutraceutical, they are asking for lower MRL level. Ayurveda or Unani or any of the healthcare product, they are asking for lower MRL content. So your residues and your pesticides should be lower. It can be a conventional product. Conventional product is equally healthy according to a lot of industry players, like as well as organic. Organic is just a technical standard. It is not a food safety standard, but for food and home consumption, people are asking for organic many a times, because they are very worried about the extent of pesticide and other things in the non-organic product. So that is the global picture. Now, if you look at Germany, Netherlands, or the others, they are doing the processing. Why they are doing the processing? There are 3-4 reasons for that. What the European Union has said is that because India has banned the import of organic ingredients, they are saying that we are processing, because we have to process with certain level of ingredients, which Indian organic only meets the standard. Therefore, we will do the processing. So because of our import ban on certain ingredient, we are exporting the fresh one through unilateral recognition, because they have taken away the unilateral recognition for processed also. They have only kept it for fresh, and therefore the processing is not happening in the country. So this is one thing that you need to know, that make in India is not happening. Second thing you need to know, that India is also a very large importer of turmeric, and sometimes we have to import the organic part of the turmeric, because we do not have the organic above 10% curcumin. We have to go to that level, but we are not importing organic or PGS certified type of organic, which is now in 75-80 countries, but we have banned PGS for exports. So, and we have banned all organic for import. So we are giving subsidies to PGS, they cannot export, and we cannot import. So everybody is coming under the conventional channel. So import is happening of the high curcumin content of the type of the variety that we don't produce. Export is happening of the largely for food, dye, etc., of the type of the variety that we produce. So there is a variety issue. There is share is quite high. Now you come to the farmer survey. Farmers, have different practices across state. So somewhere, and this is amazing and that needs more research, is that cooperative somehow has not been working in the traditional many states. It is working in Meghalaya. You brought in the Amul example, but otherwise the farmers have two types of things that they work on. One is contract farming. In the contract farming, generally the tire down partner is doing the contracting. For example, if it is for a nutraceutical, somebody who is sourcing oleoresin is going to do the thing, because there are specialized Indian companies which has gone global. And there are specialized global companies which are in India who just does the extracting part of the job and giving it to the other layers in the supply chain. Now, what they can do and not do depends upon the state policy, which how much sourcing and supporting a corporate can work with the farmer. For example, in West Bengal, even the full APMC is not implemented. In South, it is pretty good. You can really work with the farmer. Now, the companies initially used to sometimes thought about giving the seed, etc. But as you do through the survey, what they found is that the seed with the water and other thing is very unpredictable. Suppose if they give the seed and then there are banned chemicals, but because of the lack of agricultural extension worker in many of these regions, and because many of these farmers do not produce turmeric alone, they kind of produce turmeric which is for 3 to 4 months a year along with another crop to look after their food. They use their homegrown products as seed, and or they buy 50% from the market. Now the input that they are buying from the market is sometimes of a bad quality but cheaper. So now, if as a company, if I'm giving you seed and fertilizer and putting a price for it, and then they find something cheaper, they tend to use it. So companies nowadays tend to give an integrated pest management kit, and they don't really bother the farmer on what they do, simply because suppose if there is an undue damage for any other reason, like in the south there is a huge damage due to fungus, rain, all the flood, cyclone, and then the companies are getting into difficult scenarios, and then the insurance become a difficult scenario. So companies generally give a kit. Now if you talk to the farmer, they say that once I get all of this information that I have to do this, sometimes my access to the product is not there because my store near me doesn't have that product, or the product that is available are cheaper. I buy that because I'm told that this product is also good, and once I use it, maybe I get a good yield, but not something else is happening. Now, so they do think that there is a problem. Having said that, those who are, most of the turmeric farmers are small farmers. So there is for the company also to work with them is a very difficult situation, because you have to work with 2,000 farmers to source. So they tend to work with the FPOs. But when you go to a farmer with a farmland which is bigger and they are doing organic, and if you do, you will see that when they are doing organic and they are aware, if you have a big farm, you are an aware farmer, and you have practiced farming for a long time, you are going to get a good price. But all the socio-demographic factors have not been a big player in our modeling exercise. We found that, there are certain factors which is discouraging organic farming, and here organic, we are also looking at the PGS model. So we are actually, we put in a disclaimer that it is organic doesn't always mean a third party organic, but it is actually going towards a system which can lead to lower yield, because that's why developed countries kind of fund you for going towards a system which can lead to a lower yield initially, when you kind of 3 years, when you turn your soil from a heavy pesticide use soil to a soil that would use limited pesticides, which is greenhouse or go organic. So this is the thing that we need to really talk about. And farmer who go to organic and then they go to export markets, they do have a good income share, because because then they are part of the Apida traceability system also. So they are aware that their product, one is that I am getting a good price in the organic simply because I am aware that the traceability is coming to the farm. The moment I'm selling conventional, nobody is telling me whether it is for the domestic market and export. So even if my product is good, nobody wants to tell me. So I don't know. So the pricing is also dependent upon the level of knowledge that I have, and the knowledge is linked to the traceability system. The problem happens is because the farmers, when I produce, I need my ready cash. And that is the time when the traders, if you go to any of these organic, any of these hubs, whether it is organic or not, you will find out traders moving around with ready cash. Now, so the farmers, they just want to sell half of it to the trader, take the money, keep the rest half for the next year's seed. So it's a very easy cash on cash business for the next year. But then going to the platform, etc., it's not that they do lack awareness, financial resource, but they think the entire process is much more complicated than the ready cash. FPOs tell them, you give me the product now, you are my part of my organization, you give me the product, I will keep it, and then when the market is right, I will sell the product, I'll get the money. So there is a 3 to 4 months gap, which the farmer doesn't want to take. So the farmer, the problem that the FPO is facing is on the other side of the coin. Their farmer member is not giving them adequate product. Farmer are not giving their product to the FPOs because not of the price. They want an immediate realization. And the price fluctuation happens, as sir pointed out, that if there is an overproduction, the price drops. The next year, they don't produce turmeric because turmeric is a crop which can easily be substituted by other crop. Then when the price rise, they produce. So the production and price are all the time fluctuating. The farmer lack market knowledge. One thing they always lack market knowledge, but here if you ask them, everybody is asking for MSP for every crop. But generally these are not the kind of crop which goes for MSP anywhere globally also. And not that when you tell the farmer that if you get subsidies, you cannot really sell in the export market. Did you see how the subsidy? Then they come back and actually say, oh, actually, I don't need a subsidy. See, the problem is that there is a bit of a challenge between that their understanding of the subsidies as well. Now, when you go to the farmer producer organization, many of them have formed that, but they are not aware of the government schemes and policies that actually apply to the FPO, apart from taking that subsidy and forming that FPO. So they take the subsidy, they form the FPO, then they don't know what to do. But still, that FPO, if you see, they are trying to sell more through the regulated market channels compared to the farmer. So definitely they have brought in certain regulations, but their bigger problem is that a very simple thing, that if you go to the Department of Horticulture and go to the FPO database, they used to say we cannot connect. So if you go to their database, it doesn't say which FPO is in which product, sir. This is a very simple thing, that if you put the which product and which FPOs, companies will be able to connect to them, FPOs will be able to connect to companies. So basically there are certain low hanging fruits which can be done very, very quickly to enhance the connectivity between the value chain members. Any spice you look into, and turmeric to be more specific, companies are very gung-ho about what they want to do. Food companies want to do nutraceutical, we want to do, everybody wants to do turmeric milk. So what they want to do, they are very gung-ho about. And they also foresee a 15% growth, product diversification from turmeric ice cream to turmeric anything. But the bigger issue that they are facing is the moment you ask them technical questions on the regulatory part, okay, you want to do this, what's your regulation? What is the level that is specified by FSSAI? Nobody knows because there is nothing. Okay, so the problem is that as of now, everything here is moving around on the basis of the claims, rather than on the basis of the regulation and on the basis of the preventive cure theory, and not on the basis of the others. And now this preventive cure theory of late has led to a lot of harmful health effect, which sir has lightly pointed out, that overeating and overdoing anything can lead to real health issues. So the person is, if it is good, it is having it in milk, in food, in everything, and then the limits are crossing. So what is happening is that even the companies today are saying that, for me, it is much easier to sell my product of a variety in the domestic market, because the domestic market is a bit unregulated. When I am going and selling it to the international market, my problem is I have to get the product approved. So these are new products coming into the market. They have to be either well known through patenting or they to go through the scientific approval process, and this approval process is not happening. Then we are talking, then they are also trying to reach their product through organized retail outlets and e-commerce. E-commerce is a very good channel. Like everybody knew Meghalaya turmeric and curcumin actually through the e-commerce channel. Now then the companies, now the back-end traceability, companies who want to export want to go into back-end traceability, but the companies which are into food have not yet established their back-end traceability. They give their product to FSSAI. FSSAI has no regulation on farmers. They are being tested. Now, the problem of testing happens, sir, in two levels. One is that there is an FSSAI NABL approved set of laboratories. These set of laboratories are have a system of quality control and check of the laboratories, which are followed now by the BIS, the FSSAI, but Spice Board don't follow. So now what is happening is that laboratories are following, they may follow standards, they may not follow standards, which is NABL approved. And in the process, because I am sending my spice to Spice Board for testing for color contamination, that is there, and also to Apida for something. End of the day, if the product is bad, I can show that I have sent my product to 3 laboratories, FSSAI, Spice Board, Apida. Now, who are you going to blame at a country level? So every product is going through 3 laboratory testing. That is the major issue. Now given this point, the problem is happening is because the products are getting rejected, and when the products are getting rejected, the rejection is happening with the food company levels, and they have been they are trying to, and they are facing a lot of problems. And the problem comes because the laboratory testing process is not holistic. One is testing for color, but when they are testing and finding one problem, the traders are mixing something else. Now they have started mixing rice powder, and that was a big problem with Apida when we were working with Apida on the field. So what they are telling is that multiple regulatory bodies are creating an issue because they don't know who is doing what and what is their territory. Now, if the National Turmeric Board come, it will probably help them with a single regulatory body, given the fact that other regulatory body gives up their controls, and this guy is having an end-to-end control, and then this regulatory body can work with the Food Safety Authority. Ideal situation would have been if the Food Safety Authority had the entire from the farmer to the product manufacturer as and to different end uses. Thankfully, it is now having different end uses like nutraceutical and Ayurveda, and other committees are being set up. It is end use part it is trying to resolve, but back end part it is still not resolving. Now, in terms of the R&D and marketing, when we were working with the Apida and we were going to the fields with their team, they were showing us actually that there are many banned chemicals in India, which is already banned by the central government, is freely available in the turmeric hubs. So this is again a problem. The problem is of monitoring and access. Then R&D innovation is an issue because you have to look at curcumin content increase and curcumin content retention along with yield increase. So you have to do curcumin increase, yield increase, and this R&D has to be so local because, sir, the problem was happening in Maharashtra. They were going for high yield curcumin content. They were doing the research in one area, that soil condition is not being replicated at the farm. So it is almost like a zonal research that you have to look into. Zonal collections, zonal centers you have to try in. Mini laboratories have to be at that spots of the hubs. Now the products have to go to laboratories in Chennai, Delhi, all other places. Then the database I have already talked about, and then this entire process can be done when stakeholders and partnerships are very unique. Like I gave the example of Odisha, where the government is working. Another example of success story is Meghalaya, where the government is working with the private players in the team. And similar examples are trying to be replicated in the south, but you don't get too many examples of there in the south. On the thought process that these guys are already developed hub, but there also there is a lot of support needed from them. Regarding quality and standard, you have to have a more food safety regulations, because the spices that is applicable and available in the domestic market and available at the mandi level, the sourcing has to be done at the mandi level to do the check, because companies are facing a lot of problems. And because you are buying based on the certification, you cannot, if you are a 5-tier company, every tier cannot do a food safety authority certification. Technology and training with respect to traceability, that is happening, but sir, the traceability systems now in India operate at different level based on status coming up. Some is doing soil testing, some is doing for pesticides, some is doing, now this entire system has to be it has to be a mandated kind of a manual driven thing. Now the gap manual is being replicated by different states with their own customized thing, but everybody is doing part of the piecemeal work. It is happening in India, but once you join all these dots, I think that technology and horticulture will move towards a more efforts have to be given to the joining of the dot. And one key thing is that the moment you go for testing, quality, standard, these are expensive, and the entire process of their acknowledgement is very odd. You may have read in the newspaper that Apida kind of banned the Sikkim government laboratories. So the government laboratory, state government is being banned by Apida. So the industry and the farmers, they are both at a loss to think that, should I go to, who is the correct person. So this process has to be very, very streamlined. Last but not the least, implementing gap and the trade control part of it is very funny. One part is we have banned import. Now the problem is even organic tea is not being manufactured in India with turmeric. Tea cannot be manufactured. It is being manufactured in the EU because we are not allowing other ingredients organic to come in. So we need to seriously think about the organic value chain, and if it is an ingredient into manufacturing, at least that part should be allowed, so that there can be more make in India. The other thing is that export, we have to do bilateral recognition agreements, because nobody will do unilateral recognition with us. We cannot have a big fight on what should be the recognition. If we do a bilateral recognition, they will, and allowing certain ingredients, I think there will be a much easier way to solve this problem, to be a bigger part of the supply chain. And then mutual recognition agreement do help. We have tried one between Apida and Taiwan. Let's see the success story of that agreement, which is not specific. MRS cannot be specific to turmeric. So MRS have to be specific to a broader range of product or spices. But once for that, the entire process has to be set up beyond the turmeric. And if it is done, the benefit of MRS is twofold. One is that you don't go through the process of double, triple checking. And secondly, your cost is halved, because you don't have to go through the process of laboratory certification and third-party certification in 2 countries. So this is the part of the study. We have given you the key highlights, but it has many other aspects and detail out of the recommendations, and I hope that some of them will be useful.
Thank you, ma'am, for presenting the key findings of the report. May I now request Mr. Chopra to give the closing remarks?
Still, good morning. Good morning to everyone. It's a privilege and honor to be here amongst Dr. Mukherjee, Ms. Chan, and Dr. Mishra, and to hear from them. It's truly been an honor. I'm reflecting on my personal journey, which began. I grew up in Delhi and moved to the United States. I've just come back from the United States after spending over a decade living in the US. And I do want to share with you some of the reflections that I have today. But first and foremost, growing up in India, I remember my mom and my grandmom used to think that everything can be cured by turmeric in milk. And, if I fell down and got hurt, or if I had a cold or a cough, everything could be cured purely by giving me a pretty strong dose of turmeric in milk. And it has to be hot milk at that point in time. And, so as I reflect on that, I also want to kind of quote from, Shastri ji in 1965, talking about Jai Jawan, Jai Kisan. I'm very, very passionate about India and what India's potential is and what India can drive for the world, becoming a global hub. Vajpayee ji added to that Jai Vigyan in 1998, and then Honorable Prime Minister added Jai Anusandhan in 2022. So as you look at all of this that is happening around in the world, it is just incredible. What we started with our grandparents or our parents, and you reflect on that, the whole west part of the world is taking on and adopting a lot of those practices. So I don't know how many of you are familiar with one of the largest, food stores or super center stores in the United States, which continues to be the largest consumer market in the world. And I'm talking about Costco. If you walk into a Costco store, you would be blown away with the number of turmeric which gets thrown into your face in different formats, in different labeling, and I make a little bit of fun about this. Being an American, being an Indian origin, living in the United States, you have to do a lot of education. How many times have I heard chai, latte, tea? And I kind of joke about this a bit because I kind of tell them, you're saying tea twice. It's you gotta do a deep dive and understand and get educated about what it really means. Now you're talking about one of the biggest markets in the world, which is also educating people a lot about awareness. And it is just science and innovation which is coming together. And as I reflect on all that has been said, it's about not just increasing India's production, it is about increasing global production. It's about increasing awareness. It's about increasing education. That is core and nucleus to everything that happens. As India's power around the world gets acknowledged and gets recognized, so does our responsibility. And our responsibility around awareness, our responsibility around education, ensuring that people understand what this truly means for them. Science and innovation have to come together. And as I look at turmeric and I reflect along this with the team, it is the gift to the world. It is truly. And it was recognized by our forefathers and foremothers, and it comes back to us from that piece of it, also known as the golden spice of life. It is getting recognized and acknowledged around the world, and it offers many benefits. And I have a more knowledgeable panel here, but I can tell you that definitely many benefits, and it's anti. If I go through the list of antioxidant, anti-inflammatory, it just goes on and on and on. Many products claim features and benefits in the US or in EU, which may not be meeting with what Dr. Mukherjee was talking about. And that is what I was reflecting on, is the role and the responsibility that we have to ensure that we are educating and creating that awareness right from the grassroots level, so people understand what really needs to happen to make it the effective product, or to make it the ingredient that world is looking for. India is the leading producer, consumer, and exporter of turmeric. The efforts to reach $1 billion by 2030. And honestly, I think that's a very low estimate. If I think about it, we could just do that with one trading partner, which is the United States. We could just do that by growing awareness and being targeted and being focused in the world where we spread the education around turmeric. And India is known for it. We just need to do a better outreach, ensuring that this reaches to the right authorities and the right bodies around the world. We have over a 3.25 lakh hectare under turmeric cultivation across 20 Indian states. Total production in 22-23 was about 11.61 lakh tons. Major export being done with Bangladesh, USA, UAE, Malaysia. Again, huge opportunity for us. Huge opportunity as we look at what India can do and what India can bring to the forefront for the world. We can definitely enhance our story by expanding in many, many other countries. But like I said, we've got to be focused and not get distracted and put our efforts and attention, which the results will be tremendous that we will see. As I also talk a little bit about what Amway and the role that Amway has played in India and globally, we are coming to celebrate our 90th year of Neutralite. And many of you may not even have heard that brand name. And Neutralite was actually born before Amway was born. In Amway, we are celebrating our 65th year. Neutralite, we are celebrating our 90th year. We are committed to the success in India, and we are committed to investments in India. We are committed to our health and well-being chapter in India. You might have heard me talk about, I talk lesser about financial goals. I talk more about people goals. And, it is more important for me as I look at our next journey ahead of us, talking about the transformation of 5 million lives over the course of the next 5 years. So what does that really mean? It means, obviously, we are committed and dedicated towards ensuring the health and well-being chapter. The conversations have shifted from lifespan to health span. It's not about how long you live. It's about how well you live. And you might have heard about the blue zones, and we would love to create those blue zones and be a partner to bodies in India to help us do that. It is about adding quality years to your life, which are disease-free and which help you live much better and much healthier. Amway we source our products, and we have a very strong traceability story, seed to supplement, and you talked about it. How do you control that process right from the seed to what you put in your mouth? And that is what Amway is known for. We control that. We have 6,000 acres of certified organic farmland. We have 4 science and innovation labs in India. We have over 40 scientists in India. We have over 750 patents. We have 700 plus scientists around the world. And so that's the journey that we've been on. And we are obviously one of the largest dietary selling supplement companies in the world. And we are very proud to say that, we can contribute to making India the global hub for turmeric. And our team, as Dr. Mukherjee was talking about, has partnered very effectively with the team right out here and with the others. And I just am so grateful for the good work that is already happening in India, and we owe it to it. And finally, I would like to say, India is for Amway and Amway is for India. So with that, thank you very much. I'm very grateful to be a part of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chopra. Thank you, everyone. With this, we come to the end of the session. Before moving to the next session, we'll now take a short tea break, which will be served at Roshnara and Janara Sheesh Mahal Hall, that is 1 floor below. Okay. So I would now request whether if you have any questions for the panelists.
Yes. 5-10 minutes if he has any questions, otherwise.
Okay. we have 5-10 minutes. We have for the question and answer session. Do you have any questions? Yes, sir.
What is being done to stop the...
I would request you, sir, to please introduce
I'm
yourself.
Dinesh Sharma. I'm a freelance journalist. I take a lot of interest in agricultural products. There is a reckless use of pesticides. What is being done to stop that?
Some more questions.
Hello, this is Ram from Primus Partners. Dr. Mukherjee, you spoke about, traders having cash and they're willing to kind of pay the farmers, and that allows kind of quick trade. At least some of the large organized food and agri businesses, I'm aware, they also give advance to traders. They are not very comfortable in giving advance to farmers, but they give advance to traders. And then, the kind of the money flow goes. So basis whatever you saw on the field, what changes could the government enable, or what changes could happen in the practices which will just smoothen that flow of money, which will accelerate then the rest of the activities?
Let's answer these two first. Sir, you want to take the first one, or you want me to take the first one? First, you reply.
See, this question about what we can do to stop use of pests. I feel complete stoppage of pesticide is something which will have serious implication. The way we have adopted a kind of technology and the way it has progressed last 50, 60 years, you can't suddenly say, no, we will not go for use of pesticides. But there is a recognition, there is a realization that these products are being used indiscriminately. These products in some cases are doing health harm, they are spoiling environment. And worldwide, there is search for alternative agriculture. In India also, there are special initiative to come with the alternative like this Jaivik kheti, natural farming. They are the kind of alternative where you don't make use of agrochemicals. So the gradual shift toward those is being promoted. But I think going to extreme case that that we will completely stop use of pesticide may not happen. But is happening across the world is that instead of pesticide which are of chemical origin, bird is moving toward chemical which are of bio origin. But at some stage, even those bio origin pesticide can do much more harm. There was one incident in Germany that they thought of just stopping agrochemical and particular crops, but then some bio kind of infection came. There were 10, 12 deaths. Suddenly 10, 12 deaths. So you see, it is just like that should be completely stop allopathy and go to alternative kind of things. I feel that completely stopping something may not work. We need to make judicious use. We need to see to it that we make use within safe limits or only when it is essential rather than using indiscriminately or inefficiently.
Okay.
Use of banned pesticide and indiscriminate.
That answer I can give. See, basically what is happening is the agriculture is a bit of a fragmented baby, because it is monitored by the states, and then center is coming. Then what used to happen earlier was their states used to have a lot of agricultural extension workers. Now the number of workers are less, and many of times these extension workers also, when we interviewed them, they are saying that we don't have tablets and other things. Now in India also, these lobbies are also very, very strong. So the banned chemical being available is actually a monitoring, and it is actually a monitoring issue to be at the ground level. So somebody monitors it, somebody proves that it is banned, and then takes photos, etc., and then an action is taken. A punishable action is taken. That is the process where there is a gap. It is no, banning is not the gap. The subsequent processes, there are gaps. In some places it is working, in some places it is not working. May I add one more point to sir, is that, which is ICRIER study shows, and, Ashok talks a lot about it, is that, your subsidy regime is still very skewed towards chemical inputs. So chemical inputs prices are lower. So if you make your subsidy regime a little non-skewed, probably somewhere there is an incentive to buy, because Indian farmers are also price sensitive. So if you make a price of the product cheaper, they are going to buy for it. But the last point which sir says is very important, which came out in our paper, is that there is no really defined standards, or if there is, people are not aware of it, for biofertilizer, bioseeds, etc. This standardization, if it doesn't happen, you can even have a spurious product in that category. Now, coming to your question, this entire system of traders and companies. Now, to be very frank with you, that, if the companies are working through the FPOs, 2-3 times they're training the FPOs, giving, then that FPOs become a price bargainer. So in many cases, which we have rightly put out very lightly, that companies then like to actually engage with the traders, and traders are directly sourcing from the farms, and not only sourcing, they are helping the farms to do testing also. So because the companies are not taking it without the testing. So the companies, this is very much in case of food, not in case of the other products, but in case of food, where there is a certain level of testing required, but it is not a very rigid testing, and not a very, very rigid requirement. Like FSSAI Spice Board requirement are very light touch requirement. So this is actually a bigger problem, that, people are moving out of the FPOs into the trading system, simply because the FPOs are not committing to and keeping to the price that they had committed for. And now the FPOs are also looking for the forward value chain, where they want to sell their own branded products. So they don't want to supply it to the companies. Two more, and then we have to break for tea. Yeah. So
I'm GL Pandit from Delhi University. I think I admire all the proceedings of the conference, and one has learned a lot from the distinguished speakers. My question is, I will be very brief. My question is, I will not go into details. My question is, why is India not able to set up proper central regulatory bodies, so that, the scene looks better for global trade, for global value chains? Why is there this, this big lack of proper regulatory bodies, whether it is organic turmeric or whether it is Ayurvedic products, And that's the question, to be put it briefly.
Other questions we can take together. That's it.
Can hi, good morning. This is Ashutosh, and I represent Ayush Export Promotion Council. And thank you for Team MV and Rajatji for calling me for this platform. I actually learned a lot, and this is very insightful for me. I have two small part of my question. One is with Ramesh sir and Ma'am Mukherjee, that what would be the way forward? Like, how your report could add a value in terms of making policies for curcumin and turmeric And the second part is how Amway will take care of to make this product from India on export globe. So how we can take more company on export parameter and how Amway is going to help them out. So this is two spot part for me.
Any other questions?
Should I?
Yeah.
Hello, ma'am. I'm Nirupama, representing Amway India. First of all, I congratulate the entire team for the extensive work that you've done. As per the findings, we found that curcumin content is one of the major marketable, USP for turmeric. So, while you find findings, did you find any factor related to Meghalaya being the top producer of turmeric with the highest curcumin content? And if yes, what can be the next steps that can be taken forward to increase the curcumin content of the entire turmeric being produced across the country? Thank you.
Anybody? This was the 3 questions, so
Yeah.
we can start answering.
Sorry, at the back had one question.
But
Yes.
no, we
Yes.
can't do any more. One more.
One
hand
last.
was up.
आप पहले
आपका था. Then rest we will take over the
Okay,
team.
Can't hear. We need a mic on.
Yeah, myself is Jitendra from the New Indian Express newspaper. My question is, Chand sir, that what exactly is stopping India from becoming a turmeric processing hub? Because European countries are emerging now, and we are already a largest producer or exporter. Another question is that for what purpose we are importing turmeric, though we are largest producer?
So let me answer the question. One is that for the regulatory part, see, basically we are trying to streamline the regulation, and the yesterday's announcement of National Turmeric Board is one step in that direction if it is able to kind of collate the work of the other regulators. So it's not FSSAI, when it came, it actually kind of clubbed many other regulations together. So see, over several years we have created many bodies, and now we are trying to streamline. So it will not happen overnight, but it is a process ongoing. Secondly, your question to me was on way forward after this report, what we plan to do on our side. I can say on Amway's side, I'll leave it to you. We would like to take this report. We are, in fact, taking this report to many state governments to work, because this is also an work which have to happen at the state level. How they can work with the farmers. I can tell you what Ayush Ministry should do. Ayush Ministry can work. I will give you all the Ayush part of the storyline. Ayush Ministry can work very closely with FSSAI to get the Ayush and FSSAI synergy into standardization of this product. Ayush Ministry can also then start collaborating with FSSAI to work with FDA and other partner countries, like Rajni said that US is a big player. Work with FSSAI and other partner countries to get the products developed through turmeric approved in the key markets. Like if you are able to get the products developed through turmeric approved, some of these products, it will be an amazing thing. Also work with WHO on the traditional medicine component, like China has done and got their traditional medicine approved. So I am giving you the way forward for your sector. Regarding your question, I think, sir, I have already given the answer to your 2 questions. One is that your questions were? Why are we importing is because we do not have those the one with high curcumin content. And that brings me to the state question. Many of them have now started. Curcumin is a new story. 3 to 4 years is a story in India. 20 years ago, it was a story in the US or the developed countries. So they knew the story. They knew where to source. China has been up in the curve because it has gone to WHO and got all these products certified, because we were not exporting, catering to the domestic domestic market where the standard is 2%, we were happy. Now that we have started developing product, but believe me, there will be many products which are coming out with the curcumin content. Meghalaya being the highest is not true. You can have with higher also, but many places which are growing curcumin, turmeric doesn't know about curcumin. So are we before we started doing this work. Then your 2% chahiye. Unko 7% hai ya nahi, they don't have that clue. So I hope I have answered all the questions.
Okay. In relation to broader aspect of your question, that when we are exporting and when we are surplus, why we are importing? In some cases, there may be genuine reason that you require specific type of turmeric that's not available in the country. So you import into the country, maybe then we re-export. That is one kind of thing. But there is another genuine factor which should be of concern to us all, that at one time we were a very strong global power in spices sector. In last 20, 30 years, we have lost much of that power. Why we have lost? We did detailed study of that how come our advantage in tea, our advantage in coffee, our advantage in pepper, and so many things have been taken by other countries. Major reason were two. One is that the kind of R&D which was needed, we didn't spend required money. Sometime back, I reviewed these working of these boards, and I found that they were not spending the kind of R&D which other country who are comparable with us were spending on R&D. So you are left behind if you are not doing R&D. The second reason is that in case of agriculture, the major input is labor. You see, and that it is because of labor that even if our yields are low, that if base rate is less in USA, but you pay for 1 hour, we don't pay for 3 days. Okay, so that labor advantage kind of thing was there. In some of the states, particularly Kerala, which lost in a big way this advantage of spices, the main reason was cost of labor. The wage rate, sometime back I did a comparison that how Vietnam outdid us in overseas market in many products. Reason was very simple, that wage rate in Vietnam was 1/3 of what was the wage rate in Kerala. And in Kerala, so much statutory intervention, labor will not work for more than 3 hours. After lunch, he will take so much rest. After that, he will be registered. You can't hire him without labor unions. And the wage rate used to be, if you take the national level of 300, at that time in Kerala, it was more than 700. So I think this base component is very, very important. I'm not against labor. In order to pay them more, we should increase their productivity, that they're more productive so that we can pay them more. But if we are artificially forcing the producer to pay that kind of wage, then the cost increases. So that's why Sri Lanka, Vietnam, Indonesia, Guatemala, and many other countries, their share increased and our share in international market decreased. If we want to maintain that, if we want to see to it that where we are surplus, the import do not happen, we need to do R&D and we need to see to it that we don't temper too much with the wage rate and labor issues in agriculture.
Thank you for the valuable insight. I will now request all the dignitaries on the stage to please pose for photograph. Thank you, everyone. With this, we come to the end of this session. And before moving to the next session, we'll now take a short tea break, which will be served in the one floor below in Eshana, Janara, and Shishmael Hall. I request everyone to please return by 12 by 12:30 as we resume with 10 minutes. With 10 minutes? 10 minutes. I would request everyone to please return by 10 to 15 minutes.
We'll be starting shortly. For the participants who have joined us online, I kindly request you to put your questions in the chat box. We will now move on with our panel discussion on securing India's leadership in turmeric value-added products. This is a unique panel discussion as we have a special address before the panel discussion, which will set the tone of the discussion. It is my pleasure to invite Dr. Jayant Das Gupta, former ambassador of India to the WTO, who is giving a special address, and will be joining us online from Kolkata. Welcome, sir. I would request Mr. Ramakrishna M., the moderator of the panel discussion. He is the MD and head of Sustainability and Agriculture Practice, Primus Partners. I would also request our four panelists, Mr. Devajit Kaun, Principal Economic Advisor, Department of Agriculture and Farmer Welfare, Government of India. Dr. Seema Puri, retired Professor, Institute of Home Economics, University of Delhi. Dr. Souvik Dutta, Assistant Professor, Indraprasth Institute of Information Technology, Delhi. And Mr. Virat Bahari, Joint Director, Center for Advanced Trade Research, Trade Promotion Council of India. Please join us to the dais. We also have Dr. Prabhat Kumar, Horticulture Commissioner, NBM and CEO, CBD, ED, NBB, Department of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India, who will be giving a special address. Sir, please join us on the podium. We'll be starting with the special addresses first. Dr. Prabhat Kumar, followed by Dr. Jayant Das Gupta.
Very good afternoon to all of you, and I'm very thankful to ICRIER and the MWay, as I have taken the participation during the brainstorming also. So I know the process, how this in the particular report has come. But as a horticulture commissioner, as I have been invited, I'm really very grateful to you people. Particularly, if you see this, people are talking about, I joined little bit late when Arpita Mukherjee was giving the report. You see, there are the production system, we have to understand it. Though regulators are very much important, but without product, regulators cannot do anything. So horticulture ministry is there, means agriculture ministry and horticulture. And I will tell you how the ecosystem works. Basically, here in the ministry, we are for the policy making. And one of our institute, Indian Institute of Spices Research, IISR, they are working for the R&D work in the turmeric. And if you see basically the growth for last 5-7 years, we have to appreciate first, then we have to come for the challenges. So once you start with the appreciation, you are having the such type of, such positive mindset where the roadmap will come and we can adopt. So I'll tell you some glimpses of the how turmeric has gone. Basically, I am not going to talk about what it is and how, because most of the things will be repetitive. But if you see the total 80% of total production of the world, India is producing. And we are talking about the export, 70% export, but total production is 80%. And 11 lakh hectare area has come under the turmeric. 11 lakh ton turmeric we are producing in 3 lakh hectare area. So it is basically through our MIDS, Mission on Integrated Development Horticulture, where it is started, and we started giving incentive to the farmers, and this area expansion took place. The price realization was not there. If you remember, that is not noted. But in the UP it came, Uttarakhand it came, Haryana and Punjab it came through the MIDS, but price was not realized at that time. One question was asked by the ma'am, why this area has migrated from other state? Because if you see the turmeric, alone its growing is not important. It is basically intercrop. If you go for the multi-story crop, where it is happening, So you need little bit shade. So that's why in the commercial agriculture, where commercial agriculture are happening, we need not to go for turmeric wherever orchards are there. So because land is constant, everybody is coming in agriculture and saying that this good, you have to go for large expansion. But particularly land is constant. So we have to find out the space in given land, how we are going to grow it. So basically the technologies has come, varieties has come, and total production has gone good, but sometimes you will find in the spices, basically it is a cyclic in the nature. When the prices are more, people are going for more plantation. Next year, if the prices are less, they are going for less production. So basically that market intelligence is very important for the sustainable production system. So that market intelligence is required. And if you see the productivity, that is also one of the, giving you something, you have to just stop and see, because 8,000 kg, if it is you are producing in Telangana and 6,000 in Tamil Nadu and 1,000 kg in J&K, and average productivity is 3,600. So basically there is a regional disparity in the productivity that we have to look after. How regional disparity can be, we can fill the gap. And regarding the import, people are talking about import. I will tell you, if you see the data from 2017-18 to 2023-24, the import is decreasing and export is increasing. Number one. Second thing is that in the import, basically what we are importing, we are re-exporting it. Why we are exporting it? You should feel proud of that, because the technology we are having. So those countries who have come up with the high curcumin content in the turmeric, they are not having those machines and the IP to take out the curcumin out of that. So that's why we are just raw importing here, and we are going for again taking out the curcumin, and we are resending it to the different pharma industry for other countries. But what lesson we have learned from the cashew, that is more important to discuss here. In the beginning, it is a good because we are showing that we are having the skill, we are having the machinery. Same thing was happening with the cashew also. Later on, the African countries from where we were getting our raw cashew and processing here, and we were happy that we are re-exporting it, generating value out of that and generating employment out of that. But the due course of time, they also developed the machine and skill has come up. Now we are facing the problem of our own domestic requirement. Same way in the turmeric. Today we are having the knowledge, we are having the machinery, we are importing it, we are getting a short-term gain. But for the sustainable production, we need to go for the high curcumin producing varieties. That R&D is required. Otherwise, we cannot be dependent over the other countries from where the curcumin varieties are high. It is not a sustainable way that machines can come and people can get a skill and they can producing there itself, because already a proven fact is there in the cashew. So it is high time to go for the high curcumin varieties. So, and the prices, if you see the price actually in 2019-20, it was a 5,641 rupees per quintal. And in 2024-25, it has gone to 12,000. Why it has gone? If you see the production, basically the production has decreased. If you see the area, we were planting like earlier it was a 330,000 hectare, and the same now it has gone to 290,000 hectare. So basically the area has decreased, the production has decreased, and the demand was same. So the price has gone high. That is also one of the case the farmers are crying, because once you get more money, once a time, and if it is reducing. So basically, if you see that it is a productive crop, because if you go for intercrop, because your main crop is something else. If you are managing 1 lakh rupees per acre from your intercrop, it is quite good. And that's why we are promoting it as an interculture crop, not as a sole crop. So ultimately, the per capita land productivity we have to increase by, introducing the multi-layer cropping. So one thing, and the right variety, if you see the varieties are very important. We can cash on GI. The GIs are having their own values, but basically most of the GI, if you see, barring Baigaon and the Lagdong, other 4 GI varieties are having very less curcumin content. And that we can sell somewhere else, because particularly when we are talking about, again, if you see Madam was presenting, we have to go for deep diving and find out the sector amongst the, turmeric. which one is for industry, which one is for pharma, which one is for nutraceutical. Because we are talking about curcumin, we are talking about oleoresin. But one thing is very important. If you see the paper, you will find there are antioxidant activities are there. So antioxidant activities must be highlighted, and that is basically for the anti-aging. So our colorful varieties, like we are having very dark color varieties, those who are having the high antioxidant quality. Why not to, just hammer there also, only not high curcumin. And I will tell you in Japan, they don't need high curcumin. So some traders are doing low curcumin varieties and sending it to the Japan. So we have to find out the market. So in most of the discussion, I am seeing that only curcumin we are discussing, but it's not a curcumin. Beyond curcumin are there. So segmentations are needed. At which level we need what type of, turmeric clusters, and cluster based we can generate the turmeric production. And like your Sangli, you see, it is a very deep saffron color, but it is a very less. So here Sangli we can produce for antioxidant. So their pharma industry can go, they can produce, they can procure, and already cluster is there. So moreover, regarding the varieties, I will tell you, because it is not I'm not talking about too much agriculture. I'm just giving one highlight. We are having the variety like Roma, Rajendra Shonia, ISR Prabha, Pratibha, LFP Supreme, Shugna. Means state agriculture varieties are doing, central institutions are doing the variety. So now it is a need for the varietal replacement also. Old varieties should be replaced where productivity is high, and this service curcumin content is also high, and that we can produce under this. And if you see Government of India, particularly we are promoting it through Mission on Integrated Development of Horticulture, Rashtriya Krishi Vikas Yojana, then Paramparagat Krishi Vikas Yojana, then we are having Pradhan Mantri Sinchai Krishi Yojana. And I will tell you, for higher productivity, why a modernization of agriculture is needed. We gone through the trial, and we have found that if you grow turmeric on raised bed, means you have raised the bed, raised bed cultivation, then productivity is very high and occurrence of diseases are also very less. But making the raise, we need a machine, number one. Capacity building of the farmers, that is another important thing. And third thing, what we observed in raised bedding, particularly, we need a irrigation system. So coupling with our micro irrigation, particularly drip irrigation, it is giving, 2-3 times more yield. So dry reason, if it's a dry for the turmeric, it is reducing drastically the yield. So those technologies who are having the cafeteria approach like ridge making, then mechanization, capacity building, and giving the new varieties, and adding with our Pradhan Mantri Sinchai per drop more crop PDMC scheme is there. So if we are adding and developing a cluster, and I think whether we are captured or not, but lockdown already the cluster has been given by the ministry, and that cluster is coming up, and already the E&Y surveyed it, and they have done another report. So lockdown is basically the Meghalaya government again came with the some mission. So same thing, we start highlighting too much, and land is very constant. Best example is saffron. 500 crore rupees we given for the saffron mission, then again saffron mission, again saffron mission. So identification of eco-geographical places, because India is not a continent, it is a country, it is a continent. You will find lot of potential places. So potential places we have to find out, and we have to extend it rather than just hammering at the same place. Lot of scope is there. So Lagdong is good. Gentia Hill can be exploited well, and the same geographical locations are available in the northeast where we can go for try, but we are trying. So what we are doing nucleus seed production. That is, if you see in the particularly it is a rhizome. If you go, it is taking out from soil. Then the same they are using for seed. They are same using for the supply. So basically we have to bifurcate at that level. Seed production should be else because it should be disease free. It's free from contamination. If there is a disease, it is going to really accrue a lot of yield loss there. So nucleus seed production. Then we have developed a technology, portrait seedling production. So now portrait seedling productions are coming. Those are disease free. And here FPOs, SSGs, startup, they can come up. If they are having the cluster, the data is having, they can develop a business there by supplying the portrait seedling there, and the productivity can be realized. Same way, be a large scale demonstration we are doing, because 25 hectares generally area we take in our demonstration, and for demonstration of organic production and for the production of new technology, we are taking from the different places. So, and one very good model, whether madam has visited or the group has visited, the Spice Board has also set up a Spice Park in Sivganga of Tamil Nadu. So Spice Park concept is very important, because if you see the China, I asked the one guy, he met me in the train, how you are taking, medicinal and aromatic plant secondary metabolites is cheaper, not in India, though India is known for this. Then he said that, sir, there is a plug. You go, machines is there, you have not to take everything for permission. Like if you need a ethyl alcohol, there is a tank, you go and distill it and take it out, whatever is there, you have to pay. Here in India, if you go for ethyl alcohol, lot of, certificate, lot of things, regulatory bodies you have to meet, then DM, then DC, then everybody will be there, where this ethyl alcohol has gone, some which happened, then immediately people will come, police will come to that company. Then he said that, sir, better you go there and extract here and come in India and sell there. So Spices Park is very important, and I am telling you this Spice Park is working, and one Spice Park, particularly Haldi Park, I will tell you, big institution is coming up in Sangli. That is near about in tune of 500, 700 crores of investment from each and everything will be there. I will not take too much of time, because then what we can do for this particular, sustainable production and making India the global hub turmeric, we have to bring more area under the high yielding varieties, popularize the high curcumin plus the other benefits of the turmeric, and for the oil extraction also, and healthy seed that we have to promote, healthy seed rhizome in public and private domain, and create awareness of varieties. That is more important. Our farmers are not actually aware of that. So that's where corporate can come. Nowadays, this corporate farming is happening, though it is not on paper, but most of the people are working. If you have the data set, you can interact with them, and coverage of more area under micro irrigation and application of mechanization in the turmeric is more important for the sustainable production and making India the global afternoon. Most of the things they have covered, so I will not talk about that. I am restricting myself to the agricultural part and production part. Thank you very much for giving this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We have really gained a lot from your inputs during our draft report, and we have inserted all your comments. We have also presented a case study on Lakodong turmeric and also a Spice Park project. So thank you so much. I would now request Dr. Jayant to start his speech, and he will be joining us online. Sir, please, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, I have. Thank you very much, Dr. Deepak Mishra, Mr. Ramakrishnan, the chair of this session, Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, and the distinguished members of the audience. I have listened very carefully to the presentations made by Dr. Arpita Mukherjee and the very erudite presentations made by both Mr. Prabhat Kumar and Mr. Ramesh Chand, whom I have had the pleasure of knowing for the past 15 years or so. I don't have much to add to the very in-depth presentations made before me. I would just like to highlight a few points from a practical perspective. The first one is that in the world of international trade, especially in agricultural products of which spices form a part, there are many standards which countries adopt. Now, the US, for instance, would be having a lot of private standards, and the buyers on top of that would be having their own standards. For instance, if a buyer is making nutraceuticals, he would require a particular threshold value of curcumin. If it is for general food and beverages use, it could be much lower. So depending on the clientele that you are going to serve, you have to accordingly suit your export product or tailor your export product to meet the requirements of the buyer. That is the first part. The second part is that there are very clearly three different segments of turmeric production in India. One is the normal one, which I would say the varieties are there in large numbers. Mr. Prabhat Kumar has also mentioned many of those varieties. Now, those varieties would perhaps be yielding between 2% and 5% or 6% of curcumin content. The second segment of the market is the very high yielding varieties like Lakadong of Meghalaya and perhaps one more variety which has yields between 7% and 12%. And the third one would be the newly emerging area of organic farming. So these three segments would all cater to different segments of the export market. And we need to gear ourselves up accordingly. There is no point in really trying to have 7 to 12% curcumin overnight through organic farming. It is perhaps not in the realm of possibility in the short or medium term. So we have to acknowledge our shortcomings or our constraints on the production side and then move accordingly. In this context, I would mention the very significant role that R&D can play. I am reminded, Mr. Prabhat Kumar also mentioned, I am reminded of an experience that I had in another related field, of course. It is not related to spices, but to silkworm rearing. I had had the chance to visit Canton province in China, which has more or less the same kind of temperature as I could perceive throughout the year. But when we went to the silkworm rearing laboratory and the research laboratory, they said that there are 6 different seasons within that 12-month period. And they have developed silkworm species which will, yield silk favorably. For all those 6 different seasons, they have different species. So for all India's vast agroclimatic regions and micro regions, I think we have to develop the local indigenous variety and see if it could be improved upon to do 2 things. One, the yield has to increase so that the farmer gets a better price. And 2, the curcumin content has to increase. So these 2 parameters have to be borne in mind in the research. And whether the research will be done by under the aegis of the National Turmeric Board, which has just been set up, or the National Mission on Horticulture will be able to support it through its various schemes, that is something which needs to be worked out. But there is an immense possibility of improving the incomes of the farmers who are involved in agriculture, in raising turmeric crops through research. The next point in this context I would like to raise is that it's all very well to give improved seeds and be done with it. But that is not the end. That is just the beginning. The turmeric crop, from what is known in India, it is there is a significant loss through the process of cleaning it up, then drying and curing. And there is also a product degradation. So post-harvest practices need to be standardized and need to be reached to the doorstep of the farmers who are involved in this. That is a very, very important aspect of this value chain, because all kinds of contaminants can come in, and there could be product degradation as well. And this is very important when you are looking at the export market. The other related point in this context is that turmeric could be grown separately, but it is normally intercropping, or it is one of the rotational crops. So there is always a chance that the fertilizers and pesticides which have been used for other crops just before it could get into the turmeric itself. And then we have to be very careful about the maximum residue levels of different kinds which have been stipulated by our buyers in, let's say, the European Union or the US or Japan. That is something for which laboratory have to be available, and the National Turmeric Board should be able to step in and provide this kind of a help. The other point which I take from Dr. Arpita Mukherjee's presentation is that there are 3 different testing regimes, one by the FSSAI, which of course doesn't have any regulations at the moment for turmeric, then APIDA, and then the Spices Board. Now, this plethora of testing agencies and systems, that needs to be done away with. And that is what the primary objective of the National Turmeric Board should be, to have one well-defined testing regime and a set of nationally accredited laboratories which will carry out these tests and give a kind of a uniform certificate about the curcumin content, about the maximum residue levels, about the other parameters that are going to be considered by the foreign buyers. And unless we have this standardized, I think there will be a problem and rejection of consignments. The last part I wanted to mention is that we always think that organic farming is something which can only be done on a small scale, and it can't really be replicated. The way things are moving, especially in the case of the West, in terms of not only food and beverages, but in terms of cosmetics, in terms of all that they use next to the skin or on the human body, that there is a very marked inclination to go organic. So we have to now put in all our efforts, R&D included, in getting this NPOP certification working for turmeric and get it recognized the world over, especially in the US and in the EU, that it stands for a certain degree of commitment and integrity, that an NPOP certification will mean that it has been grown organically and the product adheres to the standards which are laid down. So these are some of the suggestions that I have for the National Turmeric Board, which is to start functioning perhaps from today. I would like to thank ICRIER, Dr. Deepak Mishra, Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, and Amway for bringing out this, and of course the team that has supported Dr. Arpita Mukherjee, all the other researchers who have put in immense effort to bring out this report, which is extremely useful, and I look forward to reading it in detail. I have just gone through the executive summary, and this is exactly the kind of partnership between business, the producers, and academia that is required to take our international trade and domestic production as well in various areas to newer heights. So I wish all the best to the research team and to the National Turmeric Board. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, sir, for your valuable insights and key suggestions. I would now request a moderator to please take over.
Hello. Thank you so much. Brilliant talk by Dr. Kumar and Dr. Dutta. Before I start asking questions, just want to kind of share a small anecdote from my past. So about 5-6 years back, I was part of the agri-tech ecosystem, and we're looking at technology interventions possible in the turmeric ecosystem. And we were in Nizamabad. We were at the Mandi. And there was a farmer who had come from across the state in Maharashtra, and he was trying to sell in the Nizamabad Mandi. He was finding it difficult to communicate there because he was speaking Marathi, and the local guys were speaking in Telugu, and we were trying to speak to him in Hindi. And we just asked him where is he coming from, etc., etc. One interesting thing he pointed out was, I was monitoring the price of the Mandi for the last 1 week. And few days back, the prices were low, so I decided to wait. But then I saw that the prices had gone up, and I felt that, okay, this is the right time for me to just come and do this sort of. I was amazed. I was like, before that, I had my doubts on whether Enam is really working and is any farmer really looking at digital and so on and so forth. I was really amazed that day when this guy, and he could, I mean, he was far away from a typical city grown, literate kind of a guy. He was a typical farmer. He could say this, that, I saw the prices, I saw it has gone up, that's why I came here, so to say. I was just trying to correlate that, with what you had mentioned about 19% of the turmeric farmers are only using, things like Enam. I don't have the latest stats, but I won't be surprised if that's actually on the higher side if you look at all the commodities and the digital literacy or the digital savviness of farmers. So turmeric, I think, is definitely an exciting commodity for the Indian farmers. It's a more evolved and a richer ecosystem compared to a lot of other commodities. And I'm very happy to be here to ask my more educated and more skilled co-panelist about their views on this topic. Let me start with you, Mr. Khan, because the national mission has just been announced and everybody has been talking about what else should be done. Maybe you can start explaining what the government already has in place in terms of promoting turmeric as a commodity, what support is being provided to the farmers, how is the overall ecosystem evolving?
Thank you. I'm from Ministry of Agriculture, and a lot of ministries are involved in spices. So we have Ministry of Commerce, Ministry of Agriculture, now Ayush also. What Ministry of Agriculture is doing specifically, many things already have been elaborated by Dr. Praveen Kumar. I'll not go into details. Why, as an economist, I am mostly concerned about the income of the farmers, how incomes can be increased by turmeric. As such, turmeric techniques and then the other details already are in the report. I am also learning new things here. My concern is that as an economist, how to increase the farmers' income. Now the farmers' income from the traditional crops is over the years it is going down. If you see the future is in horticulture, spices, maybe animal husbandry, maybe poultry, fisheries. The farmer's income, farmer as a person, he has to look for the other avenues. The traditional crops like rice and wheat, which we promoted during Green Revolution, now less and less income is accruing to the farmers unless you remove that, if you remove MSP. So if you see what I have just, before coming to the meeting, I have just seen some reports. If you see paddy, wheat and maize, three main commodities where our gross crop area is around 42% and value added is around 19%. And we have, if you see the horticulture, gross crop area is around 12% of the total, and the value addition is 24%. 24%. It is more than double. So our future lies in horticulture products, which condiments and spices also part of horticulture, which our ministry is promoting. MIDS, Mission for Integrated Development of Horticulture. We have Spices Research Institute, and now this Turmeric Board is coming up. I am happy to say that our Dr. Praveen Kumar is a member of the Turmeric Board. So he will put forward the views in the Turmeric board. Turmeric board has all the more relevance now because this turmeric we have three kind of values. It's an agriculture product, it may be a cosmetic product, it may be a pharmaceutical product. So we have in Turmeric board, we have members from the Ministry of Ayush, we have members from the Ministry of Pharmaceuticals, Agriculture, Commerce and Industry is holding it. So I hope in future, if Turmeric board, the way other boards are functioning now, it's a constraint of their money. So if Turmeric board is fully funded and they could see the entire gamut of things for turmeric, and the future is that the future for turmeric is very bright. And I'll say another thing that in case of turmeric, when I see as an economist, the consumer rupee going to the farmer, that is very important because we have a lot of middlemen, a lot of in all the commodities. The main complaint is that farmers are not getting their income. So we have to see the consumer rupee going to the farmer. My concern as an economist advising the Ministry of Agriculture is how farmer to get the rupee. So we have latest one Reserve Bank of India report. They say the farmers rupee is highest in basically in pulses. But turmeric is in between. This is 55%. They have calculated RBI latest paper. 55%. 1 rupee consumer spend on turmeric. 55 paisa go to the farmer, which is lower in other crops. Most of the crops you get less and less. The horticulture crops, potato and our onion, they give more rupee. But this price fluctuations and the climatic disasters are such that you may not get it. But turmeric is as an intercrop, you get values which will give high value. I've done another calculation based on your report. Let's compare it with paddy. Paddy is the 1 hectare productivity is around 43 quintals. Our MSP is around 2,300, which gives around 98,000. But it is a long duration crop. You need a lot of inputs, a lot of fertilizer, a lot of water guzzling. Because government is subsidizing the water, subsidizing the fertilizer, subsidizing the other inputs also, electricity. So you are getting some income out of it because it is environmentally rice cultivation in Punjab is not sustainable. So the turmeric that it's kind of whatever in your report it is said that raw turmeric we can have 35 quintals per hectare. Average price is now 4,637 rupees, that is 4,600 rupees average. So which will give you 1,62,000. This is the intercrop. So this is gross. So the turmeric should be promoted. And as I say, these traditional crops are giving less and less income, and we are going for climate resilient agriculture. We are going for preservation of water, rice cultivation. We want people go away from rice and paddy and wheat to other crops so that farmers' income get increased. So in this way, the turmeric has huge potential. Another scheme I just want to highlight, we ministry have one more scheme, which is not for the MSP crops. We have MSP, minimum support price. As you know, we have announced this rice, wheat, which FCI procures. But beyond MSP, because these horticulture crops are not MSP crops, because these are highly perishable, you cannot store it. We have one scheme, which is called market intervention scheme. This is not very known to the states. This is what is happening. The guideline is that if a state, this is a collaboration with the state, because state agriculture is basically a state subject. So in this market intervention scheme, if any perishable horticulture goods price goes down by 10% of the last average price, or production goes down by 10 average price, then the state government can write to our central governments for starting procurement. They have a committee, they look after, and till the moment the price is stabilized, this under the market intervention scheme will procure it and then store it, and so the farmers are getting benefited. This kind of schemes, market intervention scheme is there. but this is not much very used because this 50% of the loss or whatever cost has to be borne by the states. In case of northeastern states, it is 75%. So this market intervention scheme can also be useful during the time when the market prices fall down and the farmers do not get their benefits. So my contention is that from the farmers' point of view, of course, the technology, mechanization, all these things, we have different schemes. Ministry of Agriculture has entire gamut of schemes, and it's a big ministry. So all the schemes combined and the perspective from the other ministries, if Turmeric Board can take it up nicely, and also farmers also need support. Farmers are the biggest private sector players in the country, because they take decisions on the perception of the market, because they are not supported by any MRP kind of things. So if price goes down, it goes down like anything. So Turmeric Board will be a game changer. I hope. I think I have made my things clear.
Sure, thank you. Dr. Kumar, I think it's time to put you in a spot, since you spoke about the need for budget and the lack of money making it difficult for other spices board to operate in other missions to operate in an effective manner. Would love to know what's in store for the turmeric mission, how much money has been allocated, which will allow it to be more effective.
It's a good basically it is coming from our past experience. That's why it's a new baby. We cannot correlate with the old baby. Basically, other commodities boards actually they have not performed well, and reason is that the coffee board, tea board, rubber board, they all established before independence, and at that time, what was the in the mind those who have established it generally go for trading. So trading was the only, mandate, and how to trade it and get the money. When we have studied those boards, we found that the R&D part was not supported. R&D trade part was more supported. So basically, if you see the T board, they have established the offices outside, like in Russia, in US, everywhere they are having their regional offices. So basically, it was meant like a higher product. You go for more area, state, and is a trade. Now the farmers are coming. Here in the particularly in turmeric case, as the ma'am already mentioned, 80 to 90% marginal farmers are there. So basically, it's not like a board is going to concentrate, but we cannot say that board will only do all these things, because already we are having the R&D system which is supporting. I will tell you number of institutes like state agriculture universities, institutions, they are doing the R&D. It is high time for board to go for, finding out the knowledge, that knowledge is available, and the dissemination of that knowledge at the stakeholders, number one. Number two, the lesson learned as a CEO of the CDB. I am a chief executive officer of the Coconut Development Board. What I observed that basically if you go for any export, import, where certifications are required, I think decentralization is more important. In case of CDB, what we have observed earlier, the EPIDA was actually giving all the certificates. When it passed on to the CDB, and CDB become Export Promotion Council. So I hope that the turmeric board should take this EPC. This is my experience, just I'm telling, they can see. But once the EPC power has come to the CDB, immediately we started registering our exporters there. And our export has gone manifold. Now we are in the tune of 3,500 crores rupees. Earlier it was near about 250, 300 crores. So basically, ease of doing business is very important, and if we are decentralizing it. Second thing, that they are like an umbrella now, umbrella institute, that board. So what making facilitation and using the technology as you discuss nowadays, telling of the things, it's a very important. If the immediately like a farm registry, if you know agri-tech you talked about, the ministry is in big way going for the crop registry and farm registry. I will tell you the example. Board has not to do in isolation. Only thing, if they are coming forward and interacting, I think board can change, the prospects of the turmeric. So farm registry and farmer registry and crop registry, if there, I think one data is already constant. And the crop registry, if you are getting how many turmeric farmers are there, ease will be very easy. Customized extension can be given. And I know Bell said, If good information even you give, 4% enhancement in the productivity you can get and the income. As you said that now farmers are using, and I'll just correct you. E-Nam trading, what they have showed, it's basically E-Nam trading and market intelligence is totally different. Market intelligence, maybe there are other channels they can use. I will tell you, just you said, it was a wonder for me. I was searching one farmer to give award in Agra. I visited that village and they were saying that the youths are having the data of this vegetable supply, and this time my truck is going to Kolkata. I said that earlier you used to tell this Delhi only because from Agra. No, sir, now my kids are grown up and they know how to tap the. So we calculate the total truck is there. Just they used to say on how much you get. Suppose at 20,000 rupees. If they are getting more, then immediately they divert to Kolkata. So ENAM is maturing, that this institution is maturing. It's what she actually captured, that is a trading over ENAM. So that's why it's a 19%. But that was a intelligentsia in the marketing is something else. So board definitely, I hope that, and government has given me this opportunity to be a member of that board, and whatever is having in my mind that experience I would like to use there, and board will not be for production. Production and R&D will remain with the Agriculture Ministry. That's why the board is formed under the Commerce Ministry. So their part would be to facilitate export, and that I think Spices Board has done at that level. But now the volume is increasing, more demanding, as we are saying that lot of traceability, TBTs, trading by technical barrier in trades. Just he was showing that 0.1%, overnight it's 0.01. It's just digit, if you say 0.1 and 0.0, it's 100 times you are going below, whether machines are available to capture all these things or not. And moreover, FPOs, I think I have visited, and I attended 2 global summits of turmeric in Mumbai. And we had a lot of discussion there, and it is very encouraging that now FPOs are coming up. Basically, institutional mechanism is very important to actually be that, land. Fragmented land can be make into a parcel only by institutional mechanism, not by any other things, what we realize at a field level. So I think if FPOs will come in turmeric and specifically they will start working, their knowledge and capacity building will be there, and good product we can get. And it is really very encouraging. And as somebody told about the minimal processing at that time, Das Gupta ji was telling, I have not mentioned because I was thinking that is a time limitation. But if you go at ground level, most of the, boiling is happening with the wood and is a local level. So what we can do, we can minimal processing, though we started supporting through the AIF that processing of turmeric also. So we need there like a community processing, but cost minimization is more important. If individually they are going for the processing, boiling and all, collecting everything, cost is increasing. So at FPO level, if we are collecting it, cleaning it and making that basically cleaning, traceability issue, and somebody talk about aggregators. I'll tell you, if you go and deep dive into aggregators are necessary evil. Like in fragmented land, no, you can't say that I will go and procure from the farmers. Even what happened in your Operation Flood. We have not collected from individual farmers, but we make a center for the collection. So it's become easy. That's why FPO should become an aggregator. Even aggregators are there, that ethics should be there, the part traceability. But we cannot just remove that and we can say that it's a saying is very easy, tapping the farmers and getting from the farmers. And farmer is manager. I will tell you interesting story again. My friend done a very good research when the natural, that just time neural network came. So we were using the neural networking for the tomato, madam, for your information. At that time, we thought that Bazaar is doing very good in Andhra. Why not in Uttarakhand tomato they are throwing in Gola? So that was a very good research. IIM, the thesis is lying there. And finally we recommended, my friend was doing, I was involved, just my curiosity as learning. So we find out that farmer is a manager. It is not a single entrepreneur. So what is happening, if he is going to sell something and dedicate it only on turmeric, if the production of mango is decreasing, the total price will be decreased. So manager cannot leave total enterprises. So that way we have to think for the marginal and small farmer.
Thank you. I think there was a mention about R&D in the previous session as well, that because we did not spend enough on R&D, we are losing a roundtable where research was being quoted that of all the kinds of mounting, the maximum economic impact on the farmer life is actually through R&D. Compared to subsidy or another thing. So the more money government spends on R&D, that has the highest impact on the farmer income. But thanks for your views and thanks for correcting my understanding of the digital involvement as well. Dr. Puri, there's been a lot of talk about how consumer interest globally as increasing from turmeric point of view. What is the hype versus science, or what's the real facts of the matter, so to say? Like Sanjeev was also mentioning in the previous session, in his childhood, the solution to everything was have haldi ka milk. So what's really science saying? How big is the real opportunity with turmeric?
Thank you. I think we've heard a lot about it since morning. And the basic shift, I think, in the popularity of spices and herbs globally has come from the fact that the focus from just increasing lifespan has shifted to increasing a healthy lifespan. And, there is a saying which says, not only adding years to life, but adding life to years. And that's what we are all aiming for. And I think it got accelerated after COVID. So suddenly there is this a whole lot of interest globally on spices, on, even in India, I think all of us were having kada, and spices and turmeric latte, we've had enough to talk about. So this whole thing about anti-infective, anti-inflammatory, beneficial, health-promoting foods has got that spike after this epidemic that was there. So something good came out of it. And in fact, I read a very interesting paper which said that maybe Indians didn't suffer so much from COVID as compared to Europe. Maybe because we have so much turmeric in our diet. And immunity building happens over years. We must remember there is no magic formula. So you can't eat something, a pill today, and be free from disease tomorrow. So that to begin with. But besides that, there has been traditionally also a lot of interest in the other applications of turmeric. So it's not only the culinary industry, and that again, globalization with exposure to other types of cuisine, especially say in the West, people didn't know how to use turmeric. And with Indian and Asian cuisines coming in, they are increasingly using it. The cosmetic industry, we all know we have the haldi ceremony before a wedding to beautify the bride and the groom. So turmeric, we have turmeric creams and things like that. That's also increasing. Nutraceutical industry is a fast emerging industry because once we know about the health promoting effects of turmeric, it's come into popping a pill and, getting the benefits of the curcumin. Another industry which Arpita did tap upon was using it as a natural dye. This is increasing now because of the sustainability issues in the textile industry. But when we're talking about health, let me restrict myself to health. And, there is a long list and it's called the Holy Grail. Turmeric is often called the Holy Grail. So it's a general tonic, a stimulant, like Mr. Chopra said, a solution for everything. So food preservative, we use it in pickles and all, cosmetic agent, carminative, diuretic. I'm reading because there are a whole lot. Blood purifier, remedy for cough, cold, sinus, pain, intestinal, liver disorders. And because of its anti-inflammatory and properties, it's also now related to diabetes, heart disease, and chronic diseases. In fact, I read a very interesting paper that it also helps to prevent cataract. Like Arpita was discussing, we were discussing one day, an Ayurvedic specialist told me that if you consume 25 grams of haldi every day, you will not get diabetes, or your blood sugars will remain in control. I don't know how far that is true, but that's what Ayurveda says. So the issues that I would like to raise here, two issues. One is what is the bioavailability of that curcumin that we are ingesting? And, whether it contains 5% or 10% or 8%, 85% of it is excreted in the urine, in the feces. So we really need to know what is the dosage required to have a beneficial effect on health and how much to eat, taking out that poor bioavailability to get that effect. So that's one area. And an area of research here would be how can we increase the bioavailability of curcumin that we ingest? And in Ayurvedic text, it also says that if you combine turmeric with piperine, which is pepper, the effect is the bioavailability is enhanced. So maybe that is why all your kadas have black pepper and haldi together, with the other spices. The other issue is that curcumin is a polyphenolic compound, and phenolic compounds are heat labile. So when we are processing it, if we are grinding it, if it is heat generating, some amount of that curcumin will be lost. And therefore, we need to have a cold grinding system, or we need to develop systems or do R&D to find out which would be the optimal method of processing that curcumin so that the health benefits still remain. And I think in these aspects, would be very important, especially for the nutraceutical industry. When we're talking about the culinary industry, we're using it mainly for taste or flavor or color or whatever. But if you're concerned about the curcumin content, it's the nutra industry which would really be concerned about it. So I think if we look at all these aspects, besides, of course, the other things which many people have spoken about, we should be able to make our presence felt internationally. Thank you.
Thank you. You spoke about, the health benefits which people are actively looking for, and one element of the health-related interest or the topic is around less use of chemicals and pesticides and organic. And Dr. Dutta, I would like you to comment on it. When people talk about organic in turmeric, is it just loosely being used to look at low chemical or low residue kind of output, or is the demand technically for organic materials, and how are the farmers kind of responding to those needs? What changes are you seeing on the ground, or what changes would you recommend on the ground?
Okay, so quickly, so I was more involved with the kind of the data analysis part of this report, and while doing this we wanted to check, had this data for around 260 farmers that we surveyed, and the way we did sampling, we had almost half were doing conventional farming and half were doing organic farming, which obviously, as Arpita had earlier said, that we should be careful that we are by saying organic, we have this third-party certified and the PJs all included, even though we have all these problems that they cannot export and this and that. But anyways, we wanted to kind of understand what are the determinants, or what are the things that are the determinants that kind of encourages farmers to kind of take up organic farming, because we were thinking whether it is the number of years that they are doing it, whether that kind of is a primary determinant, or is it the age or of the farmer or the location and things like that. But what we saw was kind of interesting was that none of these demographic factors, which we call so-called in an economist kind of a way, age or years of experience, etc., does not play a major role. But what it plays is we saw that some of these medium-sized farmers and even some of the semi-medium farmers were kind of doing a lot of this organic farming, which kind of also says that can't we, as Dr. Dasgupta, I think, was it's not to be done at. We always think organic farming at a smaller scale, but that's not true. We can actually kind of, I think, do it and I think some farmers are. But what kind of discourages them are some of these higher input costs that are associated, and therefore. So unless you have these linkages to the export market, which is kind of limited for various reasons, which does not fetch a high price, and unless that is there, they are not kind of drawn into this organic farming. So these are things that kind of are holding them back. So I think if I kind of go a little bit beyond what you ask and kind of try to, since we did 3 different surveys, we had FPOs, we had farmers, and we had companies. So if we kind of link them together and one pointer from each, what kind of, at least I felt that links these 3 was the fact that the companies want to grow, that they see that the next 5 years, the companies see that there will be a 15% growth in the sector. So companies want to grow. the FPOs actually play a very, very important role, particularly to draw this small farmers or marginal farmers. So they are very important. Even the central government, some of the state governments, they have a lot of these schemes already in place for the FPOs. So FPOs, as Mr. Kumar was also saying, like they do actually have an important role for these, particularly for the small farmers. So and particularly providing them with lower prices of inputs, marketing, aggregation, and so on, and post harvesting methods, etc. So the FPOs do play an important role. So companies want to grow. The FPOs, if they come in, they can help the farmers, and then the farmers, as I already told you, would easily be drawn into kind of this more organic farming, etc., which are more like globally kind of acceptable, and that would fetch a higher price. So this is something which I think is a one finding. And the last, what I want to kind of conclude with is that so far what we have seen is more on the supply side of the market, particularly. We have really not looked at the consumer side of the market, the demand side of the market. So I think there needs to be a lot of research on the demand side. What is the consumer's perception is, what actually consumers are like, as you asked her, like what is is this just a hype, or do they actually know about it? And I think that will also help to know a lot about the overall growth of this industry, and I think it will also help the companies to know what exactly the consumers are looking for. So I think that's, as a researcher, I think that's something which is an important also area, equally importantly, looking at this farmer companies, like basically the supply side of the market, to look at the demand side and look at the consumers as well. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. If I were to kind of extend the topic to exports, be it the average consumer who's looking for, healthier options from a turmeric, or, the organic needs, which seem to be more kind of a demand in the Western world, even more than, what we see in India. Would love to know, Mr. Berry, what is it that you're seeing from the export promotion activities which you're doing? What's happening right now? What more can be done? How do you see this evolving?
Right. I represent the trade promotion. Working? Hello. Yeah, I represent the Trade Promotion Council of India. I just wanted to give a brief background, because although we've not necessarily worked on turmeric specifically, but Trade Promotion Council of India has been in existence for over 10 years with the mandate of promoting exports, providing opportunities to Indian exporters in global markets. We, of course, do the B2B delegations very regularly, which basically, the important part is to carefully map out the needs of buyers and sellers. Right. So what kind of products are they looking for, and what kind of, exporters do we have? So we've been doing it for quite some time, but the problem is, if you take a delegation, you're taking like 50, 60 exporters in one go, and maybe, 100, 150 buyers come up. So around 2015, 2016, although I was not there in the organization at that time, the thought process was that, a lot of Indian exporters are small scale, and they have to go to these big global trade shows like Gulf Food and like Sial or Summer Fancy or Anuga. And they don't have the same kind of, exposure or the benefits which they should be getting. It's much more expensive. So the idea was to build an ecosystem out here, and that's where we started Indus Food, which is a mega ecosystem to bring buyers and sellers together in one place for 3 days. In fact, we just concluded our 8th edition last year. Last week. We just concluded it last week, and ma'am was a part of it, incidentally, Arpita ma'am. The idea is that, I have been on the branding perspective also, how to brand Indian products. But I see that, for most exporters, it's just like, certifications and all are very expensive and very difficult. Branding is also difficult. Having physical presence in the market is difficult, making investments, sustaining there. So the best possible way is that we have a lot of champions which we have built over the years as a council, as in, buyers, distributors, retail chains who are well networked with us across. Indus Food gets buyers from across 100 plus cities, and around 7,800 buyers we invited in this edition. And the benefit is, of course, that you get to not just network and trade, you get to understand, the market nuances from them. You get to co-develop products. You may get to do co-branding. There are a lot of things which you can discuss when you come together, right? So the one thing which we have done very unique with Indus Food is that a lot of exhibitions are general, open to the public. We have very consciously kept 3 days as a closed door exhibition, which is only available to buyers and sellers. And that is why, the success speaks for itself, that the same companies and more companies keep joining us each year because they see the kind of benefit that provides. That you have focus space, there's a lot of Indian brands, there's not much competition around. And, buyers are showing a lot of interest, as you rightly pointed out, post-COVID health and wellness products are making a lot of traction. All the exporters are telling us that there's a demand. Something unique for me, at least, which I saw this year was pumpkin latte, which a retailer wanted an Indian exhibitor to develop specifically. So retailers are giving you ideas. It's not possible for you to probably understand the customer mindset, but retailers are giving you ideas that this kind of a product can be developed, which means they have a pulse of the market. And that is the way which we provide this interface. And one more thing I would like to point out is that Indian community, of course, wherever it is there, wherever it is sizable, you'll find a direct correlation. Value-added food products exports will be high in those countries. But how do you take that message across to the mainstream population? That's the next kind of challenge. So for this kind of thing, what we have started, of course, nutraceuticals is not a space we have tapped, but culinary space we are definitely tapping. We are bringing a lot of international chefs to Indus Food to not just, help them understand what kind of Indian food products are available, how they taste, or, what are the ingredients involved, what are the cooking techniques involved. We are trying to build that appreciation for Indian cuisine and for Indian ingredients. And moreover, they are, this time it was very interesting, they did some of their own culinary preparations using Indian ingredients. So I think somewhere, some entry has to be made into the mainstream populations, and hospitality industry was one area which we explored. So hospitality or, maybe, other routes which we can explore. The mainstream population has to understand they are exposed to Indian cuisine. They have it occasionally, that is for sure. But that popularization has to happen, and I think it started happening. Thank you.
Great. One quick question. Dr. Kumar was mentioning that T-Board had international offices to promote trade. Do you think Turmeric Mission should have international offices to push this?
Well, frankly, looking at the discussion we are having, we should, set our value chain right first. I think that's the best approach. And then we can take that route,
Understood. Thank you. Thank you so much for, all the valuable inputs from all the panelists. Do we have time for questions?
I would like to ask Dr. Dasgupta if he would like to add anything. Okay.
So we can take one or two questions and close by.
Sure. I think someone has already raised their hand.
Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Myself, Dr. Saleha Rasool. I am a geneticist and a plant breeder. So a researcher, but with very modest experience. It's not a question. I just wanted to have an opinion and at the same time reflect an opinion and have an opinion back. So when we talk about organic food, making one crop particularly organic, are we somewhere missing out making other crop inorganic at the same time? Because there is this, we call it food chain. So when there is pest insurgence on one, which is a natural thing, so when you're stopping it, that gets shifted and there is a insect pest war on the other. And then there becomes this importance of pesticide and sudden, of course, at times sudden, because as we could see, there was a couple of years back, whitefly insurgence in Punjab, then there was this stunting of rice. So at that times, we have to go for forced, supply of insecticides and pesticides and boom and blast everything. That is because we are somewhere immediately or in the process breaking this food chain. So what's your opinion on this? Because at a time we cannot have all the crops organic. And do we need to keep this eye open in R&D? Because that is what happens in the ground level that farmers have to face. What's your opinion on that? Making one organic and making it organic at the expense of making other inorganic. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you have just said that you are a breeder. So you might be knowing that we are not actually just doing what you are saying. Basically, it is a micro ecosystem you have to create. Everybody has right to live here. But in what extent that right is there, that we are deciding. So what happened? Indiscriminate use of pesticide. We suppress the particular, fauna that we thought that it is damaging us. But if you see in our literature, it's like ETL, economic threshold level is there. But how many farmers are knowing that ETL? You see that the moment they are seeing the insect, whether one or two, they start spraying, And I'll tell you the best example. If you in your home, a cockroach comes, what you do? You just take out the heat and you spray up to the cockroach is not dying. Otherwise, one spray is enough. It may die with the, after 10 minutes. But you want to see that craziness is there. So immediately the knockdown effect actually we are willing to see. Second thing is that organic farming, actually, basically why organic farming came. Basically, we are willing to have a safe food. So now what we are talking about, safe food production. If you see the worldwide, organic is little bit now more talked about, lot of, involvement of money is there. We are talking about safe food where MRL is more discussed. So whether your production system is through MRL or not. And what you said that R&D is very much important because I told you can't eradicate anybody. Host, migration is happening. Recently, I visited Rajamundry, and they were saying that the fusarium that is now in the peace lily, it is there, and it is migrating to the human and causing the, eye disease. So that chain they have seen. And COVID is the best example how the host pathogen relationship we have seen they are jumping. So as a human being, we are having the only right where we can go for elasticity, where others are not going to mutate. Because only they will mutate and they will become more furious, what you told. So basically, it is a balance we have to maintain.
Because I believe it is a process and it's not a product. So it's a process where we have to take care of everything to make it. It just can't be overnightly or even in a matter of 7 years also. It may or may not to be organic completely because it's a process and process has to be diligently taken care of.
One thing I just forget, this bio inputs, they are very much important. Nowadays, what is happening, we are in our natural farming. The government of India has come with the bioresource input center. What we have observed, particularly, I have seen the biocontrol agents are doing. That is actually, we see the whole food web system. Everybody is somewhere eating, somebody taking energy. Says basically energy balance in the whole food system. So once we are maintaining that population of the natural enemies, then we can reduce all these things. And the best to be tested in the coconut. Black-headed caterpillar was a big problem in the Karnataka, and we gave. But the problem is that if you are doing in a sporadic manner, one farmer is doing, other farmer is not doing, that the balance is not coming. So that's why this bioresource input center, we are trying to have a taluka level or village level. So natural enemies must be there and the food web balance can be created.
I think the gentleman here has been raising his hand for a while. Please, sir.
Yeah, now we have started to promote turmeric after this corona. We have many more spices and food products which can be promoted simultaneously. So why not to take as a whole spices segment instead of taking only one? It may be 100 of food items. Yeah. There are many more also.
It's a good question, but basically when we talk in abstract. As you said, that is not like a, that's why I said that something is constant. Something is constant. It is like when we are sitting in turmeric, we are thinking that we are promoting only turmeric. It's not like that because the spices board is there and the institutions are working for the all spices. If you see the turmeric is a 2000 crore, their curcumin and my chili, if you see, they are 4-5 times better than this. So what is happening basically just is like some baby is there and needs more help. So basically this board, you well said that integrated approach are already existing. And spices board is taking care of all spices. So turmeric, when we started seeing that India is a niche market and we are having a lot of opportunity to earn the forex, I think that was the reason we thought that why not to cash over the forex, because it's not a today we are promoting that spices. Spices are an integral part of our life. History, if you see, it is an integral part of our life, and particularly this turmeric. Lot of things are there in the villages, as many were reflecting their old, forefathers, grandmother and all. If see, I am from the eastern UP. If you don't put haldi, in turmeric in your food, they will say that something happened in your home. So for 6-7 days, they don't take, and then start turmeric taking haldi. So such an integral part of your culture, your life. So basically, all turmerics we are taking care of. In the government of India, it's not like that we are lagging behind any. We are seeing the potential. And if you see total production, export, it is near about 36,000 crore rupees. Out of that, only 2,000 crore means 1,800, the turmeric is there. But need of our is that we have to now, as you discuss why we are going for a specialized crop, really it is very clear. Everybody is talking about, if you just link it, you will find finally it is R&D, because focus R&D is required. We are talking about functional food, therapeutic food, again making the segment. If you are doing integrated, then you can see the macro picture you can create. And if you are really to do a micro picture, then I think that is required. But we are not leaving behind. Your worry, what you told, that other spices are also taken care.
Great. I think we have to end the session now.
Thank you so much, everyone. I would now like Eshana Mukherjee to please deliver the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, everyone. As we conclude this event, I sincerely thank all those who contributed to the successful release of this report. I am grateful to Amway India Enterprises for their continued collaboration with ICRIER. This marks the third report from our partnership, and we look forward to its continuation. We at ICRIER are immensely grateful to Shri Ramesh for taking the time out of his busy schedule to come release the report and share his valuable insights. A big thank you to Dr. Deepak Mishra for his constant support throughout the study and for setting the tone of the event with his welcome address. We are grateful to Mr. Ramakrishnan for moderating the engaging panel discussion on securing India's leadership position in turmeric. The insights shared by our distinguished panelists were truly enlightening. Thank you. I extend my gratitude to Dr. Prabhat Kumar and Dr. Jayan Das Gupta for sharing their profound knowledge as well. To everyone who joined us today, both in person and virtually, thank you for your engagement and thoughtful questions. They enriched this event immensely. We also thank key policymakers from central and state agencies, including Arpita, Spices Board India, and state horticulture departments, for their support during consultations and surveys. Our appreciation goes to all FPOs, companies, laboratories, stakeholders who participated in the survey, and to Mr. Pallab Ghosh and the Spectrum Research Group for conducting the survey. Within ICRIER, special thanks go to Ms. Anushka Pal and Ms. Ahana Shrishti for their contributions, Mr. Anu Mohan Das for secretarial support, Ms. Chaya Singh for library assistance, and the administrative and finance team, including Ms. Anvi Mehta, Ms. Neha Arora, A lot of people to thank. Ms. Anvi Mehta, Ms. Neha Arora, Mr. Rajesh Chaudhary, and Mr. Rajkumar Shahi for their hard work. We thank Ms. Tara Nair for copy editing and Mr. Shanu Kapila of the Academic Foundation for printing the report. I would also like to thank all my co-authors and for everyone for making the event a success. I would now invite all of you to join us for lunch at the halls below, downstairs. Thank you.